Okay, I'm certain. What up, everybody? Happy New Year. It is officially 2021. I think it's actually January 2nd out there for some folks, but it's Friday, January 1st, 2021 here. Hope everybody had a fantastic New Year's Eve and is having a good New Year's Day. We've just been chilling around the house, hanging out, sleeping a lot. It's been pretty awesome. Today is Friday, so we have Friendly Fire Friday, our second installment with defending champion Jeremy coming back to defend his title against whoever comes. If you want to be a part of that, if you have a question you would like to put out there for the challengers to answer, you can either send that in a Streamlabs, if you want to guarantee that it gets used in a Streamlabs, and I'll put the link out there. Okay, if I can find it, I buried it. Or you can send it in a super chat, and I will use your question. I'll try not to modify it, and we can include that in the competition. I have some canned questions, some pretty good stuff that I thought up. Going to be challenging. Hopefully we get some fantastic answers. Hopefully it's as entertaining as it was last time. So if you're sitting out there and you want to take part in the Friendly Fire Friday challenge and you're a flat earther, come on in the Discord. The link is in the description. If you have trouble using it, let me know, and I will put a link in the chat because there is rumor that that link doesn't work. Try copying and pasting it into the browser. Should take you to the Discord. Come on in, join the panel, and you can participate in Friendly Fire Friday for the chance to be the champion. We're also going to look back at some of what I think are the highlights of 2020. There was a lot of good stuff that went down, and I went through the last 7 months or so that I could see on YouTube and picked out some of my favorite things that happened along the way. And if you have some favorites, text them to me, chat in here, or come into the Discord and talk about it. We'll go through for a little while the best highlights of 2020. That should be cool. Lots of good stuff there. And other than that, I've got some stuff on perspective we might get to. I've got some questions to ask if some certain people come into the chat to try to clarify some things. So we'll probably go over the 2020 stuff and then go into Friendly Fire Friday. After we get a few people into the Discord, I see we've got about 4 or 5 in there now. And who do we have in chat tonight? Ian Adams, hungover. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of that going around. I am not hungover. I didn't drink a drop last night. I had some kid wine with my daughter, but I'm pretty good. Nick, Brandon Cook, SC Montreal, Happy New Year. The Jolly Man, how you doing? Strawman Dan, Ian Adams, Brandon Cook, Helvetica Bold, what's going on? D. Ross, page 42. Anthony Burrows, Alexander Lightwater. And I think that's about it so far. Good to see you guys out there in this new year. Wit Twit, Happy New Year. And let's get going. Let's see what's going on in Discord and get this started.
It would be painful having to listen to their shit, but
you gotta limit them to like 45 seconds.
Yeah, right.
What's up, guys?
What's up?
What's up? We're live. Friendly Fire Friday. I see the defending champion is in the house. Jeremy, how you doing, man?
Yeah, good. How are you? Hope everyone had a happy New Year.
You've been
and Merry Christmas.
You too, man. You've been studying and working out and getting ready for this defense. You've had 2 weeks. A lot of people, if they have extra time off in between, big games, they kind of get sloppy. But how have you managed to stay on top of your game these last 2 weeks?
We'll see. I stay flexing on heads in here. You know what I mean? I'm over at Gems, working them.
Cool.
I stay up on my shit.
All right. Sounds good, man. Looking forward to that. His Ether Bandiness, new name, new year. Travis, what's going on, man?
Hello. What hope?
What up? Helvetica Bold, Mark, how you doing this evening?
It's good to be here, folks.
Good. Global Virus Foe, how you doing?
Doing good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, man. And the real Bob Dole just popped in. What's going on, Bob?
Hello.
So we've got 5 people for Friendly Fire Friday. I see Jimbo just jumped in. First, before we get into that, we'll let some more people join. And we're going to talk about the highlights from 2020. So if you guys have some highlights on your mind, I've got some stuff that I'm going to go through, some links I took off of our YouTube channel. And we can just talk about that stuff, what we thought was the biggest highlights. I'm trying to think what the biggest highlight of the entire year was for me. But
Ranty getting super duper triggered and raving like a madman about using that solar filter on the camera.
Yes, absolutely. One of my absolute favorite things, and I'll play that for the audience here. I have it canned on the. Oh yes. When I heard that during the show, it was like, was that really Ranty? And then he put out the clip the next day, and I made a video about that too. That was hilarious, man. I think that's the most trigger I've ever heard him.
Well, the day
I think so.
Rock Dodo, that was a big day.
Yeah,
I didn't mind that.
Yeah, that sucked. Yeah. Yep, I hear you there, Jimbo. He used a fucking solar filter. Who was he arguing with? I think he was arguing with Rumpus.
I think it was Rumpus. Whenever that happened, I think he'd maybe been talking with other people before that, but I think when that moment happened, it might have been Rumpus who was like pushing insistently and kept mentioning the stupid solar filter.
I think Jem was in there too, wasn't he? If I remember correctly.
Oh, I don't remember.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah, but they got him going, man. They just wound him up. That was awesome.
I got a whole bunch of sheets of high density, medium density, and low density sheets, about 1 meter by 1 meter. I cut my own.
Oh, you make your own solar filters?
Yep, for any lens.
Oh, that's cool. You sell them, or you just do that for personal use? Jim? All right. Another one was a good back and forth between Ranty and Simon Dan and Arctic Reflections. And if you remember this, it all revolved around, I think it was John D's footage of the turbines. And then spotted in the background was, actually, here, I should probably share my screen so you can see what I'm looking at. Let's see here. Okay. It was John D's footage of the windmills, and I think it was his footage. Dude, I might be wrong, but it was this windmill footage. Do you guys remember this? And then in the background, they spotted like, oh shoot, I can't remember what it was. It was a long ways away anyway. Let me see if I can find it in here.
Yeah, they were trying to say it was the wrong windmill or something.
Yeah, they were trying to say it was the wrong windmill, and they were lining up the windmills, and it went back and forth, and Arctic Reflections put out a video, and he was completely wrong. So Ranty busted him as completely wrong, and Simon Dan just went with Arctic Reflections' supposed debunk and just ran with it without double checking for himself. So he was wrong. And then Ranty was knocking on those two for, especially Simon Dan, for just blindly taking Arctic Reflection stuff. And I think he finally got them to somewhat admit they were wrong, but not really. They were clowned on pretty hard, in my opinion.
Well, it shows their emotional attachments to the concepts, even if they're obscure and nonsense. If one of their own proposes it, they won't even validate it properly. They'll emotionally run to defend them.
Yeah, I think that happens on both sides. It's kind of a form of confirmation bias. It's one thing I tried to watch out in myself, because it's easy to fall into this team mindset where if a flat earther says something, you agree with it. Now, some people have no trouble. They're just looking for any disagreement whatsoever. But
yeah, or groupthink.
Yeah, groupthink. Yeah, that's probably a better way to describe it. But this was some good footage. I'll have to go back and look at this, because stuff like this happens, and we get this great footage, and it tends to get lost in the shuffle, and we just move on to the next thing and never talk about it. But this was some really good stuff here that Ranty did back then. I thought it was somebody else's footage, though. Let me see if it says it in the description. No, but that was a good one. The fish tank experiments. You guys remember the sugar fish tank experiments?
Yeah.
That was,
I think one of the big ones was the garage doors and the disappearing boats and lights there.
absolutely.
It's very recent, and it was a biggie.
Yeah, we're not going to forget about that one. I still have to put together a full video of that. That is very good stuff. And you just gave me an excuse to play it one more time. But here it is.
We need that, Pebbles. Yeah, we need that out there.
Absolutely. We cannot forget about this one, or let this one get lost in the shuffle.
This is a beautiful example.
I mean, it's great. It's a demonstration in a controlled environment, and we can draw parallels between it and what happens in the outside world.
Rumpus, trying to deny everything. The white light isn't going up or down. We know that. But it's not going up or down. We know that.
Oh yeah, that was gem. Yeah, that was fantastic. Yeah, I mean, this light disappears for like a minute and a half just behind the atmosphere. So this was definitely a big stuff. So kudos to
is the light. Oh, my bad.
Oh, I was just going to say kudos to Pebble in the Pond for doing all this work. This is like 5 or 6 times he's done an iteration of this with input.
That's good. That's good work, definitely. I just want to know though, is the light hidden or no?
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say yes, the light is hidden.
We had George tapping around last night.
No longer visible, whatever you want to call it.
George didn't want to say the word hidden, and Jem didn't want to say the word obstructed.
They all can fit there.
There's only certain words we can use. Suddenly these words are not useful when we're talking about not being able to see something.
It's very telling.
Yeah, it's pretty funny shit. Kind of a contortion to keep from saying the wrong word.
Yeah, remove this and create this is the Glober new vocabulary, and they introduce flat earthers new lexicon and grammar. So
let me
see what happens this year.
Yeah, I'm hoping we're gonna have some good stuff this year. Break down some more of these arguments. There was the sugar footage stuff with the compression. It was a highlight for me, at least. Of course, it was my sugar test. Let me bring that up if you guys remember this. With
Well,
the
it does show that the atmosphere can both magnify and reduce the size of objects at a distance. It can scale them up or scale them down, make them look bigger or sometimes thinner, a little smaller. It really depends on, I guess, the vapor in the air and other stuff, conditions. But for the most part, I mean, it's like Skunk Bay. Gets bigger, gets smaller, higher, lower. It's not really moving any of the land or the horizon, but there's every variation, combination of, expansion and contraction, compression, in one day. It's all there.
Absolutely. Champion the Underdog says Pebble should get Ranty's P1000 to continue his great work. That is a good suggestion, Champion the Underdog. I think Ranty has a plan for that P1000, but that would have been an excellent choice. Oh, Ian Adams says the Black Swan. Absolutely, the Black Swan argument was released last July 1st. That's when they first put it out there, and that went a long way.
The Black Swan, it was phenomenal. It exposed how we talk about the horizon is totally different now.
Absolutely. Oh, Brandon Sextoy, you're banned. You're gone. See you later, buddy.
That's flying pretty low to start off with, so why tolerate it in the beginning anyway? Nip it in the bud.
Yep. There, he's right though. I banned people. There you go. You're banned now. You made it come true. Good job.
Why not?
I really liked this because it showed compression. This fish tank, that the bottom of stuff could be compressed, while the top of things remained relatively the same size. And it's like differential effects at different layers of the atmosphere. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then John D's footage of the windmills, probably the clearest long distance footage I've ever seen. Let me see if I can get that one shot that we always look at. You guys will know instantly what I'm talking about.
How far was it again?
I think it says somewhere in here. Let me find it. It was quite a way. This shot right here is just amazing. Oh, let's see. Here it is. Oh,
it's so flat, it's mind-bending, actually. The fact that there's still an argument it's in a sense, mildly depressing.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of garbage to wade through, and when establishment science backs them up and everything, and their model is essentially unfalsifiable the way they've got it set up with how refraction works, and you can see your own ass in a telescope if there was no atmosphere, that kind of shit. How do you...
Rumpus literally just said that a few days ago on Jose's again about seeing your ass in the telescope.
I think originally that was Gem Panda's quote.
Yeah. So this job, I can't find how far it is in this video that I picked out here, but it was a ways. It was like 10 miles at least, I think. Maybe even 12 miles to the last one, something like that. Really great stuff from...
That's the bottom of those wind turbines you're seeing too, no? The horizon's going way past it.
They're being refracted up over 10 miles because the real horizon is at 1.2 miles. We know that.
And there was some... Oh, sorry. There was some contention about this land on the left, what it was, and I don't remember whatever came of that. That doesn't really matter. I mean, if that is...
Yeah, I think it's land.
Yeah, that's what people seem to think. There's just no way to verify it at all. Even though I looked at the map myself, there was nothing else in between the camera and that direction.
It looks like a huge wall of water in front of the wind turbines. Like, am I seeing it weird, or is there a huge wave coming in or something?
I think it might just be the light or
a reflection or something.
Something, because there's a light area on the bottom. there's a darker blue area, and then it goes back to light up by the wind turbines.
Yeah, it's just a
Yeah, it
light
looks like
buckle there.
distant cliffs, mountains, and horizon.
Yeah,
Variation, like white cliffs for chalky over to the left towards the fan there, whatever. It could look like wave too, but it's the wrong color for wave.
yeah. I don't think this is a wave. I think you're right, Jimbo. This is something. It's just there's no way to verify what it is.
It's land ho, you know. If you were Bugs Bunny on a ship with Yosemite Sam, you'd be in the crow's nest saying land ho.
It does look like land right there. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, damn. There we go. 1 second. I got to take care of this person. I hit the wrong thing before. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it's really cool to come into chat and say stupid stuff and get a bunch of socks up, but it's not going to last long. All right. Gleam says, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Gleam. Happy New Year, everyone. And let's see what else we got going on. Oh, Ranty going on Fight the Flat Earth's panel during his 40K celebration. This is worth a watch back. I'll put these links out there in the Discord or the chat in case anybody wants to go back and look at this stuff. But Ranty pretty much kicked some ass when he went over there. I think Fight the Flat Earth was doing like a 40-hour live stream to celebrate 40,000 subscribers or whatever. So that was fun. Anybody else remember this? If not, it's worth a listen to. And then Bob the Science Guy. Let me sort of remind myself what this is here. Bob the Science Guy. Okay, do you guys remember when Bob the Science Guy on Jose's did this little experiment with the cans of soda, the boxes of soda? Does anybody else remember this? It was pretty funny because it was just so horrible. In his backyard, he set these boxes of soda on the ground and used this as evidence that the Earth is or how perspective works. No way to tell if they're even, nothing. It's just ridiculous. And he was trying to make somebody else feel stupid in the process. The time Jim Panda rage quit. Let me see if I can play this. Let's see if we can skip to the end. Oh yeah, when he came in to talk about this and quit. This was Ranty's first sugar tank thing. That was pretty cool. That was very cool. That was the start of the fish tank stuff. It turned out there was something different going on with these photos, but at the time, this was hilarious. Trying to find the part where he quits. I wish I had the timestamp when he quit, but that's okay. You guys still there in Discord?
I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
Us, yeah.
And then I found this one too. I just grabbed some links from what I saw. The time Brian Leakey did this
There you go, dear.
Eclipse Umbra test. Brian, you remember doing this?
I absolutely do, man. And connection, absolutely. But also that test Bob did, I think Cans was trying to.
Oh, you're roboting really bad.
To line out like almost. I'll be back in.
Okay. All right. All right. Yeah, this was pretty fun.
That was the red laser test.
Yeah, it'll show it here. He was using these little lights. And the ball, I think he had his son helping him too. I was hoping Brian would refresh our memory about whatever came of this.
Hey, can y'all hear?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Yeah, I did a test. What I did is because they say the sun rays coming at 90 degrees. So I set a laser up, one of them lasers that tell you the distance and the angles and shit. And I went down the road a distance until I got a big enough beam divergence to give me a spread laser. So I had, basically I mimicked the sun as good as I possibly could with what I had to work with. And it did pretty good, man, because it was crazy. Because when I put the little moon in front of the laser beam that was spread out a little bit, it was eerie dark, dude. It looked just like an eclipse, man. It was like a black hole shining on the face of the house that I was in front of. But and then I did the math to, we were testing we were pretty much drawing it out to do ratios for the umbra penumbra. And it wasn't nothing like they say, man. I did the moon links and everything and used proportional cutout for the moon size compared to the Earth size. I had the sun way down the road away from it. Like I said, it was the laser spread out. But the coolest thing of it all, man, was the way the shadow looked just like an actual eclipse, man. It looked like a black hole. It was awesome, dude.
That's cool. What kind of feedback did you get on this, Brian, or what kind of conclusions did you draw, if any?
Well, we talked about it for a couple days, man. I'm still yet to get a good response because the bottom line is this: if you take the percentage of the umbra compared to the size of the Earth and apply it directly to the moon, okay? Let's say we'll give you the umbra, so the shadow is between 30 miles wide and 70 miles wide. We'll just average it out at 50 miles. Yeah, so take just the diameter of the Earth. What is that, like 8,000 or something? And so we say that 30 miles is blank percent of 8,000, right? And then you take that same ratio and you put it on the moon, and you should have an umbra. And they try and claim, I could tell you a bunch of claims. The main one is the distance to the sun. But the distance to the sun is insignificant if we're talking about a lunar eclipse, because the eclipse is, how much closer to the sun is the Earth or the moon? It's, it can only be a couple 100,000 miles depending on where they're at and what particular orbit. But point is I think the math dictates that the umbra, even leaning in their favor, I think the maximum size, they should have an umbra on the moon about a fifth of the moon or a quarter of the moon. There should be a divine dark spot with no sun, and that's not what we see, man.
Yeah, I'm sure they've got some math or some goofy theory to back up their claim. They've come up with some kind of explanation, but yeah, that's interesting, Brian.
Yeah, so even if we try and give them the umbra penumbra shit, it just there's so many things wrong with it. I love when they bring up eclipse and debate. It's like, you really gonna go there? Because to me, this is one of the number one globe killers. The fact that the selenelium or selenelium, whatever they want to call it, with the sun and the moon on the horizon, okay? And even if you buy that one, say, okay, I'll give you refraction, the fact the sun ain't there, okay? But the sun, okay, so the sun that I'm looking at, you're telling me, is not there. But then the shadow, when it does come in, it comes down from the top. Like, everything's wrong with it. And that same sun that is giving my solar panel power, you're saying is not there. So the sun is, and so that means the shadow is refracted. So the sun that's giving my solar panels power is not shining on the moon. Okay, the moon's shaded, but my, I'm getting a suntan from that same sun that I'm looking at. I'm literally looking at this sun, getting a tan, getting power to my solar panels, but the moon higher than me, right? Way higher than I am up, no matter what model you're on, but it's getting blocked. Come on, man.
Yeah. There's lots of wackiness about it. D. Ross in the chat says, but there are plenty of videos that show exactly how perspective works, and nothing above eye level ever drops below eye level, making sunsets impossible on flat Earth. That's his comment. I think you got
To me, it's a simple. To me, it's simple, man. The eclipse is always at the fullest moon. It's apogee. I think you call it when the moon is directly away from the sun at its farthest point. And if the orbits or if the circuits over the Earth are slightly elliptical over a flat Earth, I believe them to be. And then a couple times during the year they hit peak spots where they're far enough apart where the sun's throw of light doesn't quite reach it, because we can still see the moon. It's not like it goes black like a solar eclipse. We still see the moon. It's just shadowed a little. Go ahead.
How does the shadow come down off the moon during a selenilian eclipse? Is there a glober that wants to come explain that to us? Exactly how that works? Because that seems awfully weird.
But that would work perfect on a flat Earth, because like I said, the throw of light ain't quite making it. So the same way the shit at the ground gets blocked from the bottom up, shit up in the sky will get blocked from the top down. I mean, I don't know if I explained that good enough for people to picture it, but it's completely feasible. Another explanation is that, the sun kind of charges the moon, if you will, and when with the polarities, they're different polarities, and at certain distances when they're farthest apart, it's the moon just kind of loses its charge. But I'm more on the fact that the sun's throw of light ain't quite making it, because you can still see the moon, right? It's just shadowed during the eclipse. It's not like it disappears. So it's nothing like the solar eclipse. And the Earth obviously is not making the shadow. That's the one thing we know for sure, is that the Earth is not making the shadow, because we're standing on the Earth looking at the sun and the moon. And then the last thing I'd have to say on that is that that's the same thing with we're pretty close. We're onto it with that Pebbles in the Pond video, and Sky Free. We want to mention their videos on the ponds with their little boats, and whoever else we're forgetting, we'll think of it. But it just shows that refraction is a thing. Your fish tank videos, Brandon, and Ranty's work, it shows that perspective makes things go down in the distance, but the refraction is limiting the sun's throw of light. So the sun goes down in the distance because it's getting far away from us. But that final little bit to make it vanish is the throw of light. So that's what it looks like from high altitude too. You see it off in the distance after it sets. It's just that spot's lit up, or it's just dim off in the distance. So that's it.
And a shout out to Travis for all his work that he's done. For hours of filming the horizon and the various effects that you can get over water.
Absolutely. Yeah, Travis has done some excellent work too.
Yeah, Travis is a good man.
Yeah,
even though he talks too much.
Tons of work, tons of work.
Yeah, and he's got a plan for the next year as well. He's not giving up. He's got ideas that he wants to expand on, and he's interacting with scientists and cosmologists and via email. He's really working hard on this, and 10 out of 10. He deserves a bottle of whiskey from all of us.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was hoping he would join us and talk about some of his highlights from the year too, because I'm sure he's got some stuff that's really high up there. But I would say his footage is always good to look at.
Yeah, he's having his dinner at the moment. I think he's going to join us in a minute.
Oh, okay, cool. We need another person for our Friendly Fire Friday anyway, so that'll work out. Yeah, I've got Sky Free on right now, and they did do some cool stuff with these boats and stuff. If you haven't checked them out, go check them out. Give them a look. Good stuff. And yeah. Okay. Anybody else got any highlights from 2020 that I've forgotten? Ranty winning his case was pretty awesome. Don't need to talk too much about that. Bring that drama back up. But that was pretty cool. No? All right. Well, why don't we talk about, while we're waiting for Travis, since he was the runner-up last month, we'll wait for him to start. This idea of things never rising below or above eye level on a flat earth. And I'm sharing a presentation. Do you guys see it in the Discord?
Yeah, I can see it. The two red guys with the dotted line and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think I see it. Yeah.
So there seems to be an assumption on the globe side that on a flat plane, perspective would work in such a way that it would always rise to eye level if you were on a big enough plane. Are you guys familiar with this? So this is like the physical reality. You're on a plane. I'm just showing kind of an orthographic view. The ground is going away from you, parallel to your eyesight. Let's say you're looking directly out, parallel to the earth. But what you're going to see is the ground rise up and always meet your eye level.
That's so crazy you brought that up, Brandon, because today I was about to do a video. When I'm looking through my auto level on the beach, okay, the visibility of the day dictates how high the horizon apparently comes eye level. Now I'm going to explain it quick and effective. Okay, if it's a foggy day and you have your scope set perfectly level to the ground, if you're only seeing 100 feet because of the fog, your horizon, you're going to be looking down at your horizon. Now, if you have good visibility that day and you see 6 or 7 miles or however many miles, then the farther you get, the distance between your eyes and the ground are going to be minuscule. So it all depends. On a flat earth, it would dictate how far you could see that particular day. So if you're looking out 6 miles, 5 feet's a speck. So the crosshairs of the instrument are going to appear to be right there on the ground. And it varies from day to day. It all depends on visibility and nothing else. Well, aside from atmospheric phenomenon. But that's my cue on that.
Yeah, so you're talking about kind of visibility and optical phenomena, light phenomena, that kind of thing. I'm just strictly talking about the geometry and the aspect of it that, let's say you could see far enough, you would see the horizon rise up to eye level on a flat plane. I believe
as you rise up, you would expect to see more of the floor and less of the ceiling.
Well, this is one of the base assumptions on the globe side, from what I understand. Unfortunately, we don't have a glober. And that's why I'm asking you guys, if you've ever heard this or had this said to you, that on a flat plane, the horizon would always rise to eye level.
That's just it.
Well, I've heard
That's
there wouldn't
just
even
it.
be a horizon.
But you've heard that there wouldn't even be a horizon.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one, too. I don't know how that would work.
Yeah. Shout out to Professor Dave's dumb butt. But that's just it. So if you're 100 feet, you're going to see further. So you're going to see a lot further, but the ground is still going to appear to come up because you got to look way further for 100 feet to be insignificant and be on them crosshairs. But if you're like a mile or 5 miles in the air, you're seeing way further. But the farther the higher you get, the more your distance is limited. You know what I'm saying? The atmosphere starts playing a part. So the crosshairs are going to start measuring higher and higher. I'm really having a hard time explaining this, but
no, I completely agree with you. It's the visibility, your limit of your sight. You're going to be limited by atmospheric, right. So the horizon's going to it's not going to rise as much. The rate of it rising is going to slow down, or I understand that, but I
got a story about a bit of repeatability, and I've said over the past years that I used to go to bonfires in Richmond and watch people across the bay 20 miles away in a place called Jacket River in New Brunswick. And that was my story. Well, last night on the Discord server, I met a guy from a few miles over in New Brunswick, and guess what? From Jacket River to Bonaventure, which is on the same side as in Richmond, it's 24 miles, beach to beach. And he used to watch the bonfires 24 miles away. And when I say you can't lose the boat in the Bay of Chaleur, if your boat goes away with the tide, you wait till a bit in the morning and afternoon and get just your field glasses, go to the Cape in Richmond, and you can see 1,000 square miles of that bay. You will see your boat. You'll see it in front of Passpabiac, Bonaventure, heading out towards the Atlantic, almost for sure. But you will see your boat. And you're looking out over 1,000 square miles, not 600 square miles. At that point on that rock, you have over 1,000 square miles of flat water you're looking at. You can't lose your boat. You can't lose a skiff, a dory, a canoe. We found canoes that were washed downriver and out towards the Atlantic in the Bay of Chaleur. A day later, they're 60 miles out towards the Atlantic in the middle of the bay. But you can see them. You can go out and get them.
Good visibility there, huh?
Absolutely. And, he's talking of doing something from there next summer and spring, because these parties go on year after year after year. If you don't think people are down there building bonfires, bringing guitars, beer, and looking for some titty, it's a cycle. But at the same time, it's nice weather. It's a beautiful view. At night, there's less obstruction of view of, lights and other stuff. And, wow, I spent like all my high school years and some of my elementary years, looking across 20 miles, and he did the same in a place that I used to work at a day camp or a camp for kids and stuff, summer camp.
Jimbo, I thought you was going to say that you heard a guy who was looking back over at you 20-something miles across.
No, but he lived a few miles down the road from Jacket River at a place called Petit Rocher, and he could watch the bonfires in Bonaventure, where people went down to the beach.
Jimbo, my guess would be that body of water you're talking about is either got a very gradual rise or else a quick drop off. Right when you hit the bank, it drops off in depth. Because like that, and what I'm speaking of is that picture they showed the other day with the boat in the background and the water's angled. So it's like the water is angled. At first I thought they had the camera crooked, but you're like, no, look at the freaking orientation of the buildings. The water is actually angled, so it's obviously a wave. And but you can never distinguish the waves when you're. I've said this time and time again, but I can't stress it enough. When you're looking out in the distance, you can't tell the waves apart. They are bunched together, and it looks completely different than what you're looking at. You're looking at the ocean, so you're standing on the beach. You see wave after wave, a set coming in from a distance. But when you're looking out in the distance, they mush together, and you see you can see whitecaps, but it's nothing like you see with regular vision. And so that's an obvious wave. And if you take a wave at our horizon, despite the model, at the peak of our vision at the horizon, if it's 1 foot, like in B-Ball's video, the whitecaps covered. If you scaled them out, they covered about a quarter of the hotel or a quarter of a building. So if you have about a foot or even a few inches, you could cover even a mile, depending on the distance. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that one out, to be honest.
If they're in your eye level, there's lots of stuff going on there. So here I'm just talking about if there's let's just take the atmosphere out of it. Let's take visibility out of it. Let's say we saw to the end of this flat plane, whatever it is. So what I have been told by some people, this is what some people think, is that it will always rise to eye level on a flat plane. The horizon will. Now, I don't know if this is true, but I think that there's a contradiction inherent, and I wanted to talk to you guys about it. Here's a building. Let's say you had a building right next to you, you're looking at your eye level is in line with the top. Let's just say this is a little shed, right? So what you're going to see in your vision is you're looking at the top of this shed, and because of perspective, it's going to get a little smaller. And there is the horizon in the background. So you've got the building at eye level, and then the horizon behind it is at eye level. All right. So this is kind of what this looks like in orthographic view. What they tell us is that.
So you got the building at eye level, and what else at eye level? I'm sorry.
Well, the horizon is at eye level, so we're talking about a building that's kind of in between you and the end of this flat plane, right? And you've got a building. You're looking at the very tippy top of the building, and that's right in line with this horizon that's at eye level. So in a kind of an orthographic drawing, what we're told is that no matter how far you get this building near you or away from you at eye level, that same spot on the building will remain at eye level. You could move it anywhere on here, and we've seen demonstrations of this at close range, and it will remain at eye level, right?
Physically.
Yeah, mathematically speaking. But I think the flow of light refracts downward over distance. I think the sun proves that.
Well, that's what this
is.
is.
But I know you wanted to leave that out, but it's kind of hard to, right?
Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah.
It'll rise toward the level of the eyes, but it might not rise, perfectly there.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so I mean, in theory, what they say is that this will always remain. This is what the globe mathematics is based on when they say horizon drop, is that an object that is in line with your eyes like this will always remain at eye level. No matter how far away from you get it.
I agree. Mathematically, I agree.
And they say that on a flat plane, the horizon will rise to eye level, correct?
That's what they say, yeah.
So
apparently it does. It does apparently.
That's what they say. Yeah. So let's just say that we're making those two assumptions. That this particular model that some people have ascribed, that this objects will remain at eye level as you move them away from you, and that the horizon will always rise to eye level on a flat plane. So we've got the horizon rising at eye level. We're looking out, and we take our little building here, and in perspective view, we take this. Let's just say this gets smaller as it goes. And as it goes up, it's going to get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. However, when we come to the end here, we've got a contradiction. Let's say this gets all the way out to the end of our flat plane. You've got your eye level is supposed to be at the top of this building. So it's supposed to travel here, but you've also got your horizon at eye level. So how do you have the building that's sitting on top of the ground, which is making your horizon? How do you have your eyes at that spot, that horizon, and at the top of the building at the same time?
Brandon.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Oh, hey, what's up, Travis?
Hey. So you're presenting, but there is something in the top right corner on your screen that's blocking the demonstration that you're doing. We can't see the house right now, or at least I can't.
Huh?
And it's because there's something on your screen that says the refit. There you go. Okay, there you go. It's gone.
That's the Earth curve screen, Travis. That was representing the Earth curve right there.
That was good. Good simulation. Okay, carry on. Sorry. Thank you.
That's all right. Thank you.
Do you want me to respond, or you want to keep going?
Well, this is what I'm asking you. How does this contradiction get resolved, since we can't be looking at the top of the building and the horizon at the same time?
Yeah, that's a hell of a good question, man.
Yeah,
I
this
have to
is
scratch my head on that one, but it's definitely a function of vision, man. And let me give you one more example. Okay, I'm going to give you a super extreme example. Okay, so we're up in an airplane, 1 mile up. Okay, now if you're looking 100 miles, 1 mile is going to be a speck, basically. Or let's say you're in a high altitude balloon. If you're looking 1,200 miles or 1,400 miles, 10, 20 miles is going to be a speck, basically. but it's going to start accumulating where the ground will start dropping down. But let's say fog. Okay, so if you're a mile up in the air and you can only see 1 mile, you're going to be looking straight down at the horizon because you're not seeing far. In other words, the farther you see, the closer to the... I know this for a fact because I've shot out there from the beach. You can see some of my videos where I bring my auto level out to the beach. The further I can see, the closer my line is to sitting right on that horizon. On beautiful days, no waves, not much waves and all that, and good distance. My crosshairs sit right on the horizon. But foggy days, I don't even need the scope. I could look down at the horizon just a few hundred feet out in the water, you know. But that is a hell of a good question, Brandon, really, technically. Because it's still all apparent, right?
Well, it would converge toward the level of the eyes, but not necessarily perfectly because you're dealing with a surface that's below the level of the eyes. So it's going to be a contradiction to say that it meets at the level of the eyes when you're dealing with a surface that's below the level of the eyes, technically.
Well, that's the issue I have on this too. Now, I see Esteban in the chat is saying this is what the geometry says, but if I look at the geometry, what the geometry says is my eyesight is always going to be above the surface that I'm looking at. And this, to say that, I don't know where you go from that to knowing that these are parallel, to then saying that no matter how far off I look, I'm always going to have the horizon rise to my eye level. Why? I'm looking over the ground. Why is the ground always going to rise to eye level? I don't think that's true. I think the higher you get, that this horizon will start dropping away on a flat plane. And I think there will always be, there will always be some gap at the end. Otherwise, because you've got this contradiction. Now, this meets at eye level. That means there's no room for this building, right? So how the hell do I look at the top of this building and the ground at the same time? I can't. There has to be, no matter how big these things are, there has to be some way for that to be down at that level to where I'm looking at the top of that building and that's sitting on the ground. There has to be a gap. I don't believe this story about the ground will always rise to eye level on a flat plane.
No, it doesn't, man. Listen, it doesn't. It's apparent. You need an instrument to, on a clear day, you need an instrument, a theodolite or an auto level, to discern that the crosshairs are barely above I mean, I've had days, like I said, where it's in a couple of my videos, where it's just the crosshairs are sitting dead on the horizon. But you know they're a speck above. That's because I'm seeing so far, it's probably like about 12 miles out where 5-foot viewer height is no bigger than the it's smaller than the crosshairs themselves.
And that little strip is like a layer of air that's going to get bigger and bigger because as you take the object further and further away from you, you get a bigger and bigger scene where that little strip could become a bigger and bigger column of air with even more refractive effects potentially, couldn't it?
Yeah, but I'm not talking about refractive effects or anything like that right now. I'm just trying to resolve just the geometry of it, of the situation. I agree with you guys all on that stuff. I agree on all of you guys. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, technically the ground does not rise to eye level, okay? It can't. But the only thing is that it appears to, and you know, if you have regular to good visibility, it appears to rise to eye level, but looking through an instrument, the horizon is always, even if it's that speck on the clear days, it's still a little bit under the horizon.
How do you know, without those atmospherics involved, that the horizon would always appear, the apparent horizon would appear to rise at eye level? What I'm saying is that I think that's incorrect. And the higher you go up off a flat plane and maintain that parallel view over the flat plane, the further down that apparent horizon should be seen. You should have horizon drop on a flat plane.
Brandon, here's the problem. Here's the problem, gentlemen. Here's the problem. You're once again, you are focused on something that is irrelevant. In other words, there's always going to be a vanishing point or a convergence point that's based on optics. So if there is an apparent rising, we know it's the cause of optics. It has a limitation factor to it, what's called a slope. and it's a measurable effect with our vision based in 3D perspective or 3D optics or any kind of relation. That's why you're subjected to anything like called foreshortening, all kinds of perspective effects, because it's light passing through a lens through a circular aperture. So when you're talking about, listen, let me finish. So every observation known in mankind, shoulder to shoulder, negating optics, cameras, whatever, human beings, it always appears to rise at eye level. That's why in any, let me finish. That's why in any actual first perspective or 1 point perspective, 2 point perspective, 3 point perspective, whatever you want to do in any architectural drawing, always draws the horizon at eye level. This is a mathematical constant. Now, Brandon is talking about why the geometry is a little off. Okay. In the geometry itself, in the Earth curvature calculation, they do not equate for the rising of the ground. They're conflating it as Earth curve and calling it an arc when it's an apparent effect based on optics. So this is it. So I don't know what you guys are doing here, but you guys are just, I think you're full of shit. Talking about the horizon. Listen, you have a limited.
Go fuck yourself. Hey, Data, go fuck yourself. Why do you say we're full of shit, man? Because I was digging what you were saying until you get into that. You're going to come in here and fucking criticize what we're talking about? We're trying to figure shit out.
Yeah, because you're lying to the audience about the horizon.
I'm lying to the audience. I'm asking a question.
Yes, you are. Here's the fact. When we observe
Wait, how did he lie?
anything, because you
can't be going on
you were
point.
talking about something.
While you've been chewing on the point, you need to let
finish.
the point so I can get
Let
my
me
point
finish.
in.
You guys are throwing away the exact the first point perspective, 2 point perspective, and the principles of perspective. Yeah, you are.
How are we throwing it away? We talk about it constantly, Data. We talk about perspective constantly, Data.
Listen, yeah, what you have to focus on is if you have multiple observers in one geometric position at different elevations. I have now gotten so many admissions. When I say what causes the ground to rise, I've gotten the response from every glober. The ground doesn't rise. That is correct, gentlemen. The ground does not rise. It's purely optical. So if you have several, let me finish. If you have several observers in one geometrical position at different elevations, and the ground is not rising for any single one, but appearing to, that means it's flat and extended for every single observer moving upward, and every convergence point is based on optics.
Yeah,
so at least focus on the truth here, and that is the truth right there. It isn't whether
Data's got the truth, everybody. Data has brought us the truth.
That's right.
We can all stop asking our own
because
questions.
Guess what? You guys are
just
focused
listen
on
to what
nonsense.
Data says.
We're not denying.
Hey, Data, why don't I'll send you my credentials. You just take over because you've got the truth. Fuck it. We'll just close the show down. Data's got the truth. We don't need to talk about anything anymore.
Well, the thing is, it rises toward the level of the eyes, but it's not perfect. And we've been hung on this because that's the hat that they hang their globe on. They say that it has to rise perfectly to eye level. And any deviation from perfectly at eye level,
argument, Lemon. That's not the argument. The argument is this.
So we need to destroy that reified
that's not the
that they have in their mind.
Yeah,
that's based
Data,
on
if you're not going to let, hold on, Lemon. Hold on, Lemon. I'm going to give you time to respond. Data, I muted you because you're not allowing Lemon to respond. You come in here telling us that we're full of shit, that we're lying to people, we're asking questions and discussing something, and then you won't even let Lemon respond. Go ahead, Lemon.
Yeah.
The main thing is we're saying that it rises toward the level of the eyes. We agree with you and everything about perspective with that, but it doesn't rise perfectly because the globers have been hanging us and grilling us about this the moment they look through a refracting, curving lens and don't see it rise perfectly toward the reticle or the midline of the lens or something like that. This principle basically says you shouldn't even expect that to anyway because you're dealing with a flat surface that is below the level of the eyes that will rise toward the level of the eyes, but not necessarily perfectly. That's all.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a function of distance, man. How many times have you been out on the beach with an auto level? Me? I can't.
That's not the argument again, gentlemen. The argument is this. The ground doesn't rise, period. So the higher
we know that.
The higher you go, the higher you go. So the point is whether or not doesn't go to eye level. That's not the point. The point is
it is the point.
Based on
you're not getting the point, Data.
No, they don't acknowledge.
That's their argument. We're dismantling their argument. This is an important argument in this discussion about globe versus flat, dude. Does the horizon actually rise to eye level?
The horizon, whether it rises to eye level, is a red herring. The reality of the matter is the ground does not rise and only appears to. So if you have stacked observers in one geometrical position at different elevations, it's flat and extended for every single one.
We know it's only apparent. That's why we're going through
That's
this. We're
right.
talking
But are
about.
you listening?
Why do you think we have
You're not
this?
even
Why do you
listening
think
to what
I
I'm
have? Yes, I am. Perspective drawing versus an orthographic drawing. We talk about that constantly, Data. I know it only appears to rise to eye level.
So when I've been getting admissions from it that it's flat, and I'm like, you're right, it's flat. So at what point, at what elevation does it ever rise if it's actually flat for each observer at different elevations? Because it's only an apparent rise, okay? So that if you get them to focus on that instead of whether or not it actually rises to horizon, it's a red herring. The reality is what causes it to rise, because it's not calculated for in any calculation in geometry. But are they conflating it? Yeah, they are. We obviously have.
I 100% agree, bro. Let me ask you a question, Data. Hey, would you say this is accurate? If we could see far enough, if the atmosphere was just like 50% one day, and we could see, let's say 5 times as far, and we were 7 miles high in a plane, the horizon would appear to be at eye level if we could see far enough. But the fact of the matter is, the atmosphere starts getting more and more blocking our ability to see out in the distance. So as a function of distance, as a function of perspective, it starts appearing lower and lower, depending on how clear the atmosphere is that day. I'm agreeing with everything you say, dude. I think I'm just having a hard time wording it properly. It's all apparent.
Well, I think we're agreeing, but I just don't know why you approached it like that, Data. You think we're focusing on the wrong thing or making the wrong argument. These guys always constantly argue that, and you're right, it's bullshit. They don't have it in their calculator that no matter how high you go, they think no matter how high you go above a flat plane, that this fucking apparent horizon is going to rise to eye level. And then what they do is they build in this drop based on that. So here's where the curvature conflation comes in. They say, oh, well, the horizon dropped when you got this high. That's because of curvature. They've hijacked perspective. That's where we're going. We're zeroing in on exactly how they hijack perspective, Data.
I like the way Data explains it, man. I'm glad he yelled it in class 2 too hard, man, because I love because Data explains it pretty good, man. But yeah, there's no contention here, man. So yeah, come in and tell us what's up. We're all ears. We're here to learn. And like I said, I've been on the beach several times with the auto level, and it does vary. And when you have miraging and shit, look at Travis's videos. It could go. It doesn't actually. It's all apparent, man. It's all apparent. And yeah, that's what we're trying to break down. And I think, man, I don't think there's no contention, bro.
Right. Yeah. So what really happens? That's the question. So obviously, do we agree that this is a contradiction? That you can't have something that you're looking at the top of and also this apparent horizon at the same position. I mean, unless it was.
So picture your 6 foot. Go ahead. So
Wait.
6 foot tall, Brandon. Yeah, go ahead.
I just for clarification, I'm at. Can you say that again? What you just said?
Is it a contradiction? As they say it should work on a flat Earth. This is what they say how it should work. That you have something that is in line with your sight. It's never going to fall below or go above high level. Your line of sight is going to stay exactly where it was, and also have the horizon rise up to that line of sight. Appear to. Right?
They're full of shit. Think of this. If you're 6
Is
foot
that
off
a
the ground, your
contradiction?
eyes are 6 foot off the ground. Think about this. If your eyes are 6 foot off the ground, and we wasn't using perspective, okay, and you're looking 10 miles, or you're looking, let's say, 3 miles off in the distance, okay, and you're looking at somebody staring back at you, and they're also 6 foot off the ground. Their eyes are 6 foot, your eyes are 6 foot. You're eye to eye, okay? So how far is the ground going to be from their eye? If you're looking at them in the distance, they're going to be a little speck, so the ground is going to be right by their eyes. So the ground is going to look like it's at your eye level, basically, as a function of distance. You see what I'm saying?
Well,
It's basically just a function of angles, really. The smaller the angles, the quicker the convergence. That's based on the surface or reflection of the object, and that, of course, is relative to the distance. But at the end of the day, it's not whether it rises to eye level. It's the fact that it doesn't rise and only appears to. So if you have stacked observers all looking out in different heights, and not one of them the ground is actually rising, but they see farther outward, it's strictly based on light and angles to the eye.
Well, so much of this stuff is
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, so much of this stuff is based off of convergence points, and I think what's happening is we have a bunch of overlapping points. We have this vanishing point for a 6-foot observer, which gives you a cone of vision, since you get a vanishing point about, 3 to 6 miles out of that radius.
You can get a vanishing point a lot quicker if you're shooting smaller angles.
You're going to get a vanishing point that has a whole lot of different amount of optical information at that height than a vanishing point, say, if you're, 10 miles off the ground, seeing, 100 miles in the distance with a whole lot more optical information crammed into that vanishing point. So when these vanishing points, converge or, diverge, maybe that's what we're, seeing as a curve when you have a vanishing point on the bottom for 6 feet and a vanishing point, on the top part of your vision that's like, much further extended, at the horizon or whatever. Maybe we're interpreting that separation as quote unquote a curve or something.
Well, I do agree in one sense with what Brian originally had brought up and some of what data says. None of this is going to really come into play because we have an atmosphere, we have all these light effects, we have the finite vanishing,
not an atmosphere.
finite vanishing, all that shit. And, we'd never see far enough for this contradiction to occur. My only thought was this is an inherent contradiction in how they say it should work on a flat plane. That was.
I got a good point to make.
Yep, go ahead.
I thought you was done. Okay, look. Okay, so this has to do with things. It's kind of the same topic, really. Things disappearing over the horizon is like, say, a boat. The bottom of it's disappearing. We know about compression. We know, we all know the way the angle works and everything. But so we got to take the Rayleigh criterion. I like the way data showed how the math matches the globe curve, our vision itself. But saying that, I would say so. So what we know that when we zoom through a camera, all we're doing is magnifying the light that is there. We're not stretching our eyes out and seeing further. So by magnifying all we're doing is magnifying the light that is out there in front of us. Okay, so once the light breaches the Rayleigh criterion, or once the bottom of the boat hits lower than 0.02, you can magnify it all you want, but you can't bring light back that's not reaching you. So if it's already jumbled into the water or whatever. See what I'm saying? In other words, you can zoom all day long, but you cannot magnify or zoom light that is not reaching you due to that.
Hey, can I bring something up?
Yeah, go for it, Travis.
All right, so when you started talking about this, I went to a oh, by the way, I'm sorry, Brian. I think that what you just said is absolute spot on. So thanks for pointing that out. Just real quick. I love it when I am able to capture the Southern Cross from the Chesapeake Bay here in Maryland. Let me do a share screen. Huh? Yeah, I know, right? Hold on, just wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Okay, can you see there? Are you able to see my screen?
Yep. Audience can see it too.
This boat is the Southern Cross.
Oh.
So I have captured the Southern Cross numerous times from the Chesapeake. So don't let anybody tell you anything.
Well, that's it. It's flat, folks. Right here.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So this video is a little bit jiggly and whatnot. It was taken back in 2019 when I didn't have a smoother tripod. Anyway, I thought that what Brian just said and the question that you brought up in terms of the vanishing point and the horizon. So if we look out here to the right, you see where my cursor is?
No, I don't think so.
You can't see my cursor to the right of the image that's on the screen?
No.
I don't see it.
No? Okay. Well, okay, so you see the marker buoy in the middle?
Yes.
Green.
Okay, so yeah. So if you go to the right of that, and you'll see these center brown smudges that go across. There's a see how the green or the you got bushes that are vertical, and then you've got a space with brown bush, space with brown, another tree or whatever, and then space with brown. Right? See that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're just gonna have to trust me on this. You cut that image in half, that's the shoreline. Okay? So if I were to back out the camera, and we'll see if it happens in here. I don't know if it does. If we back it out, that's always gonna remain horizontal to my eye because that's where I'm standing, but 4 miles away. So the Southern Cross is going to go into that perspective, right? Geometrically, it's going to stay horizontal to my feet. My feet are at the top or at the surface of the water. The hull of the Southern Cross, my feet and the hull, they're level, horizontal. So geometrically, we're all good. But I'm going to put the volume down. I don't know what the volume is going to do. Okay. So right now, the Southern Cross is going to start to go into the aether band, right? So right now, I would say we can see the boat right on the surface of the water. It's not yet miraging. Okay. So I'm just going to speed this up a little bit. Now, right here, we start to see a little bit of miraging underneath the Southern Cross. Okay, now there it is there. Okay, now, if I were to have followed this to scale, we would see this thing going farther and farther away from us. But this boat is getting smaller.
Sure. Yeah.
We have liftoff.
Okay,
it's now levitating above the water.
It's apparently getting smaller, right? Apparently, it's getting smaller.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so now we have the apparent horizon here where the water ends. Okay, the apparent horizon is created by this mirage. The limit of the mirage stops right here, and the light is now allowed, as Brian was saying, to reach us. The water that's right here, you can see, let me see right here, well, to the right of the boat, there's a little bit of a wake. It's going to go away. Right at that threshold of the aether band and the physical water, you will see at times physical water breaking the band. That is, they are getting high enough above the medium so that the light that's hitting them right there at that moment, we can see it. So this mirage that we're looking at here at the hull of the Southern Cross is three-dimensional: height, width, and distance or depth. Okay, this apparent you can't see my mouse. I'm right at the hull of the boat where the mirage starts. Okay, everything that is below the physical boat that then ends where the water starts is the mirage. That is not vertical. That is on a perspective slope. That's good. We don't know what the distance is from that boat to the apparent horizon. But if I were on a kayak and you said, Travis, stop right there, you're on the apparent horizon, and I knew my coordinates and the boat's coordinates, we would then know that I'm a quarter mile away. So then the angle to that boat from the apparent horizon is a quarter mile. But it's not vertical. It's just as if there were train tracks there and they would meet in at that point. Okay? Sorry if I'm talking too much or whatever.
No.
So
no, that
okay,
was great. That was great.
Now the thing that's tweaking my melon right now is look at how high this mast is. I have a very, very hard time believing, and I'd have to go back and look at other footage where I've got the Southern Cross closer to me. But this mast is just absolutely enormous.
Seems too big for the boat, but I don't know shit
Yeah.
about boats.
No, I agree. I agree. Okay. So let's go a little bit. Again, it's going farther and farther away from us. So this distance between, now right there, I just stopped. That was full optical zoom. going to try to see if I can get it past where.
So okay, can you pause it like right there? Okay. Yeah. You're talking about the mast of the boat. I just wanted to point this out real quick, and maybe we all understand this already. Does anyone here think that the mast of that boat is taller than all of the trees in the background there?
No.
Is there anyone here that thinks that? Okay, because this is just a very simple logic point here. We can obviously see that things that are closer to us are going to appear prospectively to be taller or larger than things that are further away. It stands to reason, unless somebody can show verifiably, credibly, and repeatably for it not to, it stands to reason that the ground will do literally the exact same thing in our vision as everything else that we see.
Oh, it does. It does for sure.
Exactly. And so the Globers are arguing that it wouldn't on a flat plane. They're arguing that ground would never ever appear to be taller than anything in the distance or bigger than anything in the distance, and it absolutely would. It would have to if it plays by all the same rules as everything else that we see with our eyes.
I think we're having overlapping vanishing points. We have the vanishing point for the shorter stuff in the foreground and the vanishing point for the taller zones of vision in the background. And I think that's what we're misinterpreting as a curve.
Okay, well, that's an interesting diagnosis. We do have to understand that the vanishing line for these trees is farther up and farther out than this boat. Because, again, if you were to put railroad tracks along here, the railroad tracks would converge finally at the tree line where the mirage for the tree line starts, because that is the actual, like, that's where, okay, if you envision looking out right now, that's where my eyes would be, is right there at the middle of the tree line where the horizon is. That's where the apparent conjunction, for lack of better terms, forgive me, where my eyes look out and see what's straight ahead.
Yeah, I think with these overlapping vanishing points, with you as the observer with a camera or with your eyes, you kind of want to choose, which overlapping vanishing point you're kind of going to want to peer off into, with everything kind of converging and merging, like Mr. Data said, toward the level of the eyes. But with this overlap, it's kind of hard to tell which direction you're looking, up, down, toward the middle, a little off, or whatever.
Yeah. So I'm interested. So we started off with that presentation that I brought up, and this is good stuff, Travis. Does any of this contradict anything that I said, or are you making a point about that presentation, or is this just another line?
I'm hopefully adding to it.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Yeah, because you're talking about the fact that this boat is moving away. It's getting smaller, but it's also rising up.
Yeah, because of the mirage. My hypothetical was it's not impacted by the atmosphere. There's no miraging. There's no light effects. And we're just talking about like perspective and the geometry of it. And would the horizon always rise the higher up you got? Why would it? That was my question, because the ballers are out there saying that the horizon will always rise to eye level on a flat plane, no matter how high you get up. And I think that's bullshit, and it's not supported by the geometry, and there's a contradiction inherent in it.
They do claim that, bro.
They do.
They claim that, and they try so hard not to understand the way we model vision and perspective. But it's like when we're debating them, okay, we understand your model, we understand how you're as far as the curvature. That's how we grew up. That's what we learned growing up. But now we learn more.
Yeah, you're roboting, Brian. But no, I was just curious if you thought it contradicted anything. Obviously, I know that there's all these other effects that are impacting the vision. All I was aiming to do was substantiate whether, we can all agree that that's not true, that even with perspective, we wouldn't expect the horizon to always rise to eye level on a flat plane as we rose up in height, or if there was any question about that, or if you guys saw the contradiction.
Okay, so I'm going to take the blame and say I'm just not understanding you. But
especially if it
I'm going to say that it does rise to eye level.
Okay,
it does. So if I'm standing, hold on, just real quick, please, just real quick. If I'm standing on the ground, I don't think I have a problem saying, as I look out ahead of me, it appears as though the ground is rising and the sides are converging and all of that, right?
Yeah.
If I go up, but if I go up 100 feet, I'm now extending the distance that I'm looking. It's going to do the same thing in proportion to how high I went. This is just the same thing. This is just the opposite of changing your angle of looking at a house at its base where it hits the ground, and then you move away. You should always see the ground and the house. No, you're not. You're going to stop seeing it at some point.
But this has implications for zooming in with the lens. If you're zooming into that air layer in Brandon Toy's diagram, it could have the potential to make the ground appear to fall away as you're zooming into a very thin but magnifying layer of air over great distances with zoom. So we might need to explore this.
I don't think that's really the argument, though, right now.
Well, let me respond to him. I understand what you're saying, Travis. So here's my man standing on the ground, and here is the horizon. Let's get rid of the house for now. Quite a ways away. Let's just say it's, as far as we can see, here's the horizon, right? All right. So they're going to meet. When we're standing on the ground, they appear to meet for all intents and purposes, right? About at the same eye level. Which I'm not even sure about that. Now, are you saying that as you go up, let's say you go 100 feet, let's go say you go 1,000 feet, you're on a flat plane, that this is going to appear to rise up to eye level again, all other things constant?
Except for the fact that the angle's not going to be that drastic. It's gonna shift in proportion.
You need a bigger screen basically to show what would actually happen.
See, okay, I get it.
Or
So this would go farther, right? So the first one would start off like right here. We could see this far, and then as we rose
it would be from your eyesight outward, not from your bottom of your feet, right? You're increasing the eye, not your feet. So it'd be reverse the angle. Reverse
the horizon.
Reverse it from your eye out. So when you increase the bottom, you would increase your when you increase your height, you increase your bottom angle, therefore spreading out across the flat plane, and therefore it rises up at that point.
Yeah. So this is what I have a problem with. I don't think that it would work like this. I don't know why it would. I don't know why
it's not working like that. It's your eyes. The angles are going from your eyes, not your feet.
But
what are you talking about? This is your eyes right here. Here's your eyes.
Draw the angle. Okay, so if you were to take two observers, make sure that you use multiple observers in the example to show you, because then you're reversing the angle. Just reverse it from the eyesight and use multiple observers and extend it outward, because that's what's happening, right? You're looking at.
They say that.
Yeah, I get you. So this should be. You're saying put this down here, and the eyesight should go down. Is that what you're saying?
See where his feet is. Take that little node there and put it up by his eye, and then drag it out downward.
No. Okay.
So reverse it.
No. So here's what I'm talking about: how it looks. Okay, I'm talking about how it appears. I'm not talking about how it actually is.
But what you do is you draw the perspective view first of outward of how you're not adding the angle, and then you draw it out. Then you add the angle of the floor. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm going to do it this way, Data, and then you can draw it your way. Okay.
Sure.
So anyway, we see the horizon appear to rise. We also see further, right? Are you saying that we'll always see the horizon on a flat plane at eye level?
From my experience, anytime I've ever flown in planes or been in a helicopter or high elevation, it appears that the horizon rises to eye level, which is an optical effect to begin with. It doesn't actually rise. Hold on. So it doesn't matter if you go into the geometry of it. The argument is the optical effect. It appears to rise.
Okay, listen to me very carefully. I know we're talking about the apparent view of the world. Let me respond. I know we are talking about how the world appears. I am talking about perspective. Okay, how things appear. I understand that the ground doesn't rise. Now, you, in your experience as a pilot, you are saying that however high you've flown or however high you've gone up, you believe that the horizon always rises to eye level.
They say
anytime I've observed it, that's what I've observed, and my attitude indicator says the same thing.
You have to set some parameters here, Brandon. Are you asking as is available to us, or if we hypothetically have an infinite height up that we can go, and the plane is either infinite or not infinite? What are you asking exactly? As far as high as we can go as human beings right now, it seems like that's exactly what it does. If we could theoretically get way, way higher, maybe that would change, but how are we supposed to discuss or decide what happens at that point?
The Globers say that when you go up in a plane, the horizon does drop a very little bit, a tiny, you got to tilt your head down a tiny fraction of a degree, unnoticeable.
Meanwhile, you don't do that because your attitude indicator matches the level plane. That's how you fly over horizons with your attitude indicator. It matches the horizon. There's no reason to ever suspect it other than it to rise at the horizon level if we observe. The obfuscation is the argument because it's not something you can falsify. What you can falsify is our vision and the apparent rise and why it's not calculated for. That's what you can falsify.
Have you ever measured it with a tool or anything, or just going by?
Why would I want to measure with a tool, an optical tool that has a collineation error? Why would I want to use a tool?
All right. So let me ask you.
A tool is not meant to measure an apparent junction of the sky and ground.
Let me ask another way.
I've never seen a theodolite being used to measure the horizon. I've only ever seen them being measured locally. That's it.
Let me ask another way. Is there any experimental evidence or any hard evidence of any kind to indicate whether this should take place or not in the world?
Well,
in
the
reality.
best thing that we would use is a laser. So that's the only thing that we have that can establish a level over long distances, traveling straight and true philosophically, traveling with enough energy and power to not be diverted or, taken off of its path and just go straight to the target. But the thing is, if you look through your eyes, you're seeing what's essentially a 2D representation that is indistinguishable from looking along a flat plane. So if you're looking at like a penny that hasn't vanished due to angular resolution, you can still see it. If you see a flat, plane under your feet that converges at the horizon and appears to have a length, a 2D length, similar to that penny, you're going to see it. So by that principle, once the penny converges, if you're looking along a flat surface and looking far enough along it and it converges enough, it's just not going to be resolvable. It's just not going to be seen. It'll disappear for all intents and purposes, even if it's flat, based off of that 2D representation from, penny to vanishing point to 2D flat plane to vanishing point along the 2D flat plane. So potentially it could, drop or appear to drop below the air anyway by that principle.
I would expect to see the horizon to drop as you go up on a flat plane because as you go up, you see more of the floor, and as you go down, you see more of the ceiling. So with the horizon dropping, that's telling you you're seeing more of the floor, no?
Well, I go back to this argument, and I know it's just how it appears. It's just perspective that our eyesight, if it's parallel, we are looking higher and higher above as we go up this flat plane below. Why would we have the same effect, say down here? Why wouldn't it decrease? Why wouldn't the horizon decrease? Because we're seeing further, or at that point we can't even see that far too many times because of the limit of visibility. But I just don't think there's any evidence that
I would expect it to drop.
I don't think there's any evidence, and I haven't heard any concrete evidence that the horizon should rise to eye level on a flat plane. I hear you saying that firsthand experience data, which I think is good. Let me fucking finish for fuck's sake.
It's not whether
it's let me finish for fuck's sake. Let me finish. You observed it, and I was just going to acknowledge that you have observed in your flights that rising, and I think that counts for something, that firsthand experience. but I haven't heard of any experimental evidence. All I hear is them claiming, they're making a claim that that's what should happen, and it seems like contradictory to just the geometry itself to me.
Well, they say they have evidence that it does drop as you go up. Very slight angle, unnoticeable by the human eye, but we would expect it to drop. I would expect it to drop on a flat plane.
Their dumbasses also claim that you should be able to see fucking across the Atlantic Ocean. they're retarded.
More importantly, gentlemen, you have to establish what causes the convergence, and it's angles of light to the eye. The primary example, I'll always revert to a long-ass hallway, forcing perspective, or foreshortening objects. The point is that you're subjected to angles of light. So if you increase your elevation, you're going to increase your angles of light, thereby extending your view. You come closer to the ground, you're reducing your angle of that light to your eye. It is demonstrated, the convergence of this light is demonstrated in a long hallway. It's an apparent effect based on angles of light. That's it. So when you hear these guys talk about the apparent horizon and how it dips and drops, they're not even understanding that the convergence is a fact, the main principle of what they're seeing.
No,
and it has nothing to do with Earth curve.
I know. I get it. I get it.
This
It's silly from the start.
You know, Mr. Math there, Flat Earth Math or whatever. I asked him, I said, hey, man, do you think the ground and sky touches 3 miles away, or does it appear to? He says, well, it touches, the air touches the ground 3 miles away. I was like, dude, really? Okay. So these people are just not wanting to have that argument or have that discussion. And that's what it is. So when I see the geometry drawn out like that, it's an obfuscation, red herring. Talk about what's causing the convergence.
No, it's not an obfuscation, red herring. No, it's not. But anyway, so this is the kind of shit
their
that we
argument
get.
is, yes,
their argument
is
certainly
whether or
is,
not
and
it rises to
that's
horizon.
what I'm trying to establish, Data, is that their argument is a red herring. That's what I'm trying to establish.
It's going to matter
so
whether or not the plane is infinite or not.
Every human being on this earth that's a genuine person, shoulder to shoulder, will go up and we'll see the horizon rise to eye level. Anybody being disingenuous or saying otherwise is being disingenuous, in my opinion, because I've been with other people and I've asked them, does it appear to rise to eye level? It appears to.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So,
but I think we're having what's called that. But it's what I like to call the asymptotic fallacy. In math, if you have this line like x equals 2, that you approach but never quite touch with a curve, that's called an asymptote. So it's approaching the truth, but it's not quite true that it would rise perfectly to eye level. It'll rise toward it, but it's a bit of a fallacy to assume from there that it will rise perfectly to it. That's all. It's a tendency.
Why would I infer that it would is because if I take straight lines and angles and lay them in a succession outward from me and force the perspective, I have what's called a convergence point, which has no magnitude. In other words, there's nothing actually at that point of vanishing line or vanishing point. It's an optical effect, no magnitude to it. So I can force that perspective based on angles and light. Okay, so that's the primary issue, is the acknowledgement of the convergence, and it's demonstrated in forcing perspective.
Yeah, we talk about the finite vanishing point quite a bit. So this is the kind of stellar shit that they throw at us as far as the horizon drop. I mean, they're trying to tell me that this white cross right here is the horizon. And if you zoom in, I mean, what is this shit back here? I mean, this is ridiculous.
Can I share my screen and show
something? You can't even
something?
see a fucking horizon here. Yeah, in just a second. Here's another one. Where's the horizon? You have to guess at where a horizon is, right? You can't even see that far. This one, the moon is slightly under the crosshairs, and this is the handheld theodolite app. I mean, this is nonsense.
I'm just seeing the same screen with the guy in two houses.
Yeah, I'm not
Am I missing something?
That's what I'm seeing too.
Sorry, didn't mean to make you sigh.
Sigh.
My sigh was at Discord, not you. Sorry.
He's sick of Discord's crap.
This is what I was showing. This one with the this ridiculous horizon right here.
Okay, right. All right. So listen very carefully, please. So I said this once before, either on this show or another show. I was sitting next to a naval or an Air Force pilot, and he breaks out his iPad and starts flipping through stuff, and I just glance over. He's looking at this. He's looking at this image. So I start asking him about it. and he says that the crosshair there is the artificial horizon.
Which one?
And I said,
green
well,
one?
Yeah. I said, well, why are they aiming it that high for you? Why the horizon that we see is down here this low? And I already knew where I was going to go with this. But it's the same thing that if you go back to what I showed you with the Southern Cross, where we see the limit of the land. Okay, we're looking out. Let's look at where it says azimuth bearing, right? We see the mountains right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's go to the left a little bit to that green dot to the left, and then just raise our eyes. We're going over the purple mountains, of the purple, and we get to the apparent horizon. Why is it apparent? Because that is as far as we can see because of the medium.
Yeah.
That's not where the land stops. The land keeps going, and this is where I got this guy to get to questioning is that apparent horizon is there because that's where the land actually is. And if you fly that way, according to this schematic, you're always going to be flying horizontal to the floor. If you aimed down at the apparent horizon, you're going to nosedive into the ground soon at some point.
Now, my understanding, gentlemen, is that all aircraft at cruising altitude will have its nose tilt to 3 to 4 degrees. That's why the apparent that HUD display is emulating that. Correct?
I don't think this is a HUD. I think this is the Theodolite app on someone's phone.
Oh, I'm just looking at it briefly. It looks like a HUD. So it's just a Theodolite app. So if he's looking out from the side of his plane, is that the side window or where is that at?
I have no idea. This is just an example of shitty evidence that we're handed.
We do know that on a ground for a 6-foot observer, if you have fog in the
you could see
if you have fog in the horizon, it won't appear.
Can't hear you, Brian.
You won't be able to see that far, right? So anything atmospheric could do that same effect, and the HUD could be displaying an extended plane farther out. But because the atmosphere is like that in the foreground, it's going to appear to be an artificial horizon, like we've seen many times in Travis's demonstrations. You see a horizon and then a mirage, right? So you see an apparent horizon and a mirage effect. So it could be the same principle, and I'm pretty certain because we see it on the ground the same. That why not the same effect the higher you go, right?
My contention is you can't even see a horizon in this picture.
Well, okay, I would disagree with you. I'm going to say that where the land apparently stops, which is just a little bit like maybe 2/3 or just above half.
Looks
Okay,
like
so in the bottom left,
above the white line, right?
well, in the bottom left quadrant, you've got the horizon cutting it just above half. Okay, to me, Brandon, I don't have difficulty saying that's the apparent horizon because I'm seeing a difference between what is light blue below and then what becomes apparently sky above. So I would say that I'm looking at the horizon.
You're talking about up here? I don't know if you can see my mouse. Are you talking about in line with the green crosshair or down below with the white crosshair?
Below at the, well, I don't properly see a white crosshair, but
it's melded in with the green crosshair in the bottom 2 quadrants.
Okay, well then I would say based on what you just said, then just above that in the left quadrant, in the bottom left quadrant, there is 2 lines that are cutting across that box.
Yeah.
Okay, above that is a smaller degree of blue, and then sky white. Right?
Yeah. Right.
Okay. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't have a problem saying that's the horizon.
See,
that's what I would have picked out.
I do, because if you zoom in here, you can see that there's stuff in the background that looks like mountaintops.
Right, but okay. Think about what the horizon is. The horizon is the apparent meeting of the sky with the ground. So if you're saying just because there's stuff beyond it, it can't be the horizon, then we literally wouldn't ever have a horizon on flat Earth because we would always know there's more stuff beyond it.
I agree with that.
Right? So like So that would make their statement true. We never would have a horizon because there would always be more stuff beyond it. We're not talking about the ground literally coming up. What we're talking about is simply an apparent meeting between sky and ground. So wherever we see that, that is the horizon, even though we understand physically there are items beyond it.
No, I
Well,
would say
in the
that
real
this,
world,
you know,
we
the top of
determine-
this green cross here, that's what I would say is the horizon. This white area in the bottom two green quadrants where there's this white band, that looks like land to me. If you say that, it does. I wouldn't say that that is sky. I would say that the horizon, if you wanted to get technical, like up above the blue, and then it comes into the white, like down from the top of the picture downwards. If I was going to have to call anything a horizon, I would call where it starts to get darker white the horizon. But then again, I just don't think you can see through this atmosphere enough to say this is where the horizon is. This is where horizontal is, which is what they're trying to do.
Well, this is
okay. Let me just say
horizontal.
something about your bottom left quadrant here. Okay, look at your bottom left quadrant, just slightly above the white line. Do you see how it gets just slightly darker and then goes back to getting lighter?
Yeah.
Okay. Pretend that is a cliff, an ice cliff. Okay, pretend that's the ice wall. Okay, that's in shadow because it's down there below. And that's the starting of the ice wall. And it just keeps going after that. Now, just by thinking of it that way, you can actually basically think in your mind, okay, and the top of that is right there in the upper parts of that bottom left quadrant, and it extends on further back, okay? But we don't know if that's what it is.
Right. That's what I'm saying too.
Brendan.
We don't know where the horizon is in this picture.
Brendan. Hello?
Hey, Glenn.
Determine horizontal is by the optical activity of stuff that's above the level of the eyes ramping downward and stuff below the level of the eyes ramping upward. That's the only way that we really determine horizontal by activity. In real life, we determine horizontal by activity by whether or not something can stand on the thing without falling off for something that's horizontal and level. We don't have that for optics. So instead of thinking that something is horizontal based off of the surface, which is probably just a little off from center, like Brandon was showing in his diagram, and kind of a little below, center eye line or whatever, maybe we should go with, basically a horizontal, something that's fairly, converging toward the level of the eyes, but maybe not quite over a flat plane.
Can I add to that and just basically negate
horizontal
every single footage taken from the plane and above 1 mile?
Yeah, go ahead, Glenn.
Yeah, Brendan, can you pull up in the general chat? I posted up a paper. Could you pull that up and share that? And I've done a little screenshot as well of the abstract. I don't know whether you have to pay for it, to be honest, but
let me see here.
Happy New Year, everyone! Everyone on Ranty's channel, Ranty and Brandon, obviously.
Yeah, happy
Salute.
New Year. Let me open.
Cheers, Glenn.
Salute, Travis, my king. How are you?
Okay, I got
I'm doing well, brother. Doing well.
Hopefully, I'm sharing these. Let me just make sure.
I can see it. I can see it in Discord.
Can you? Okay. All right. All right. Cool. We're good.
Yeah. So basically, this is a couple of scientists. They're kind of well known, or kind of well known for atmospheric science, and they've actually tested at what altitude does the horizon cease to become visible. So if I can just read this abstract, it says, at altitudes greater than a few kilometers, the horizon is indistinct because of contrast reduction. Even on extraordinary clear days, an airplane passenger flying over an ocean cannot point to the apparent boundary between the earth and sky and confidently proclaim its distance. To determine the distance to the horizon within 10% requires knowing its angular position to within a few minutes of arc. This is unobtainable in a realistic atmosphere, even one that is very clear. Scattering by air molecules themselves are not quite sufficient to blur the horizon, but it does not take many particles before the horizon to becomes indistinct. So
how high up was Al Baruni?
It would have been less than a mile, I would assume. I haven't actually looked it up. I'm shooting from the hip there. But it's a mountain.
So after how high did you say?
It's about a mile.
A mile
1
high.
mile.
So that's definitely this is definitely more than a mile high. So we're looking at that situation here, and I would agree with what that paper is saying. I mean, you could point to something and say, this is the horizon, but I just don't think you'd have any way to know if you're right, especially if you define the horizon as horizontal or the earth boundary. If you're saying this is the horizon and comparing it to horizontal, using something like this is just no good. You can have no confidence in it.
Okay, so can I show something real quick?
Oh yeah, go ahead, Bob.
This has to do with what I was saying earlier about it. It matters whether or not the plane is infinite or not. Okay, whether or not the horizon is going to continue to rise to eye level. Okay, so here I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you guys something. And go ahead and laugh here. Let me know when you can see it.
Okay, let me share the screen here.
Would you like me to read an architectural book regarding the horizon and how multiple observers will have the same effect happen?
Yeah, if you want to after Bob's done, sure.
Sure.
Can you see it?
Minecraft, the real Bob Dole. Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. So, I'm in creative right now, and I can go up. Now you can see where. Okay. First of all, if you look into game design, game development, okay, pretty sure what you're going to find is that there's no such thing as programming in perspective. Okay. Pretty sure what they do is they program a camera to work like a camera. Perspective takes care of itself. All right. It's not a thing. You don't program for things to disappear behind a curve or anything like that. You have basically how much the game can load at once, and the perspective stuff actually takes care of itself. Objects being larger when they're closer to you and smaller when they're further away, that's just a thing that happens. You don't have to program. You don't have to tell the game to do that. Okay, it just happens. All right. So you can see where the horizon would be in my vision. If it could load more, it would be further, and that's basically the point I'm going to make whenever I go up here. Okay, you can see how much the horizon is sinking down below my cursor as I move up. Right, we'll call that. I don't know if it's perfectly center, but that's where my character's looking. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Also, note if you notice what's happening to the edges right now, and this is a game that's made entirely based on blocks. Square.
Are you trying to brainwash us?
No, I just want you to look at what happens to our
curvature. I'm confused.
That's right, you can. And this game is built entirely on little cubes with straight lines, and look at that. Your perspective is giving you curvature. Almost like it's something to do with perspective that nobody has to put in there. It's just something that happens on its own. Anyway, so
here's
what I'm talking about with the infinite plane, okay? Do you see how much lower the apparent horizon has dropped below where my crosshair is?
Is that Minecraft on a flat surface?
Yes.
And that's what happens when it looks like when you go up high. It's crazy. All right, thanks.
Yes. Okay. So, but that's just a side point. My main point is this: if I had this set up so that the game would load more land, it goes on and on and on for like billions or trillions or quadrillions of cubes. Okay. If I had a powerful enough computer that it could just load in every direction, way super far, there would be cubes in this area here, and on and on and on. And just like regular perspective, as I continue if I keep going up and up and up, more land would become visible to me because of my height. So if the plane is infinite, the horizon has to continue to rise to your level because you will continually gain in height, therefore continually reveal new land. If the plane is not infinite, that's where you would have the horizon dropping down below eye level, because eventually out here, what you have is the edge of whatever it is that we know, and it goes off into the nothingness or whatever is out there. So it matters in this discussion whether or not the plane is infinite. If it's infinite, the horizon is always going to rise to your eye level. There's no other option. if it's not infinite, eventually you get to a point where the land stops and whatever else is out there, that's what you start seeing above the land.
For all intents and purposes, it's infinite until you get close to the edge. You know what I mean? When if you're in
until we have a way to verify what's beyond what we can see. I mean, we can just you can assume either way. You can say there's an edge, but if you can never find it, well, then why are you assuming there's an edge? But we haven't ever seen anything like an edge other than what NASA has shown us, from their alleged space pictures or whatever, right?
Now,
but to argue about whether or not it will continue to rise to eye level without knowing if it's infinite, well, it's basically folly. It's not useful because we don't know.
Now, calling that, I agree with that. Now, calling that a horizon, what you're seeing, I understand the horizon in the definition of the apparent junction of the sky and the ground. Now, a baller will look at that, and they have with, say, the Mage 2 stuff, right? And say, that's the Earth curve that we see there. That horizon equals Earth curve. Horizon equals edge of Earth. And it does look curved, and this is what I was arguing with Mr. Sensible about. I said, no, that's the limit of visibility. So this program obviously has some kind of visibility limits in it.
Yeah, I'll make another point, okay? And yes, there is a limit to how many blocks it can load out. If I had more powerful computer and I could mess with the code or whatever to force it to load more blocks, I could probably get that to work, but then it might bust some things or whatever. But look at these trees way out there, okay? Without Earth curvature, you can still see that the trees way out there look smaller than the ones right there that are closer, and it looks smaller than one. If there was one right here sitting in front of me, it would look smaller than the one right here right in front of me, right? Okay? That's going to continue to happen. My screen, the smallest a thing can be on my computer screen is a pixel, okay? We don't have pixels in real life. We just have reality, okay? But the game eventually would have to render each one of these things as either a pixel or non-existent, right? Does everyone understand that?
Yes.
That's the only option. When I get far enough away, it's going to be either one pixel or it's going to be not even displayed by the game because it can't make it any smaller than a pixel. And that's what happens in real life, okay? It keeps getting smaller and smaller until we can't register it as even being there anymore.
Can I come in here?
You go, Jeremy, and then Mark. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, just to what you just said just now, Brandon, about Rumpus, and I think it was Tim Osmond was on Jose's recently talking about no one ever claimed the horizon is Earth curve.
Well, that's just a flat out. I don't know why they're saying that, but yeah, that's.
They're going around saying
MC Toon is right on camera, claiming he can prove that the Earth curve is the horizon. So that's nonsense.
This is gaslighting.
Happy New Year.
Go ahead, Mark.
The edge of a dinner plate is curved, but it's still flat, and light rays travel radially from where your eye is, and so there's a limitation to where the radius stops. And it might appear curved, but it is still a flat dinner plate.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what we did too. What was that, like 3 weeks ago, Brandon? As you rise up and you start to see that circle bend.
Yeah,
it looks like that's what he's doing right now on the Minecraft screen. He's going up. You're starting to see that circle.
Right.
The circle of your vision.
That's something important to understand about a perspective, that it seems like they try to hijack and say that that's the Earth curving around. No. This world is a flat. It's programmed literally to be a flat world. Okay, aside from hills and stuff, but it's little cubes making up the entire thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so just real quick for the cheap seats, that is not showing us horizontal drop on the y-axis. That is showing us perspective to, I don't know what else I'm going to say. A curvature perspective on the x-axis. Hold on, it's not dropping down in elevation, right? So that point in the middle, right below your cross, where the apparent horizon is, that is not higher than the left or the right. What's happening right now? What's happening right now is that the curvature is happening in our peripheral, so to speak.
Yes,
Exactly.
Right.
correct.
Basically, the
In real life, the
conceptual
clouds
circle
come
that you
down
can make by
way
spinning
quicker
around
than that.
is making itself apparent by how much more you're seeing around you.
Yeah,
Me and Brandon just modeled this in reality, not a month ago.
if we lived on an infinite dinner plate, no matter how high up you went, you would still see curvature in front of you, but it's curvature along a flat plane, not a spherical plane.
Yeah, let me share something
telling
that
you,
Jeremy just alluded to, and because we did look at this to make sure that this is how it would work in the real world. I've showed this a couple times, but just a reminder.
Shout out to Jeremy and Brandon. Seriously, I want to give you guys credence for a couple weeks ago you guys did this, so yeah.
And not me.
Thanks, man.
Shout out to Mark Doxy.
Yeah. Shout out, Mark.
You're a fake.
So what I did was I made a 100 meter or a 100 foot circle, and you see this orange line in the pictures. Are you guys seeing it in Discord? The grass.
I see a messed up picture with a red vehicle or something. It's nasty looking.
I've got it
red
clear.
vehicle.
It's clear to me.
Okay.
There we
As
go.
long as it's clear to Travis, I'm happy. So
there you go, Mark. How you like that, Mark?
28 inches.
What are you, racist? Are you racist against Bob Doles?
Yeah, Matt. Yeah, I guess I am actually. 28 inches off of the ground. This is what it looks like. And the higher you get up, this is a circle around me. This orange line here, staked, all measured out perfectly. And the higher you get, this is 38 inches. This is 50 inches. This is 61 inches. And this is 82 inches. You can see that curve gets bigger and bigger. Now imagine this is your limit of how far you can see, or the limit of visibility based on the conditions of the day. And of course it's going to look circular. It's going to look curved, of course, just like we saw in that Minecraft. So here we have a real world kind of demonstration of that.
I mean, Brandon went overboard. You can do this in your house with a hula hoop or a 12-pack of Pepsis. Just put them in a circle around you. Pretend that's your limit of vision, and put the camera level with it and just go up with it, and you'll start to see them curve.
If
you're
that's
in the
what
center
you
point.
see with a horizontal line as you go up, how much faster should the curve make itself apparent on a thing that is supposedly spherical?
Well, this is a circle.
Correct.
It is a circle, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's a circle, a flat circle. If it was a spherical top, yeah. And this looks like
Brandon,
looks like the frickin' Mage 2 footage, the curve they have in there.
Well, Brandon, working out these principles, consistently at the very least. If we're saying we're seeing until 0.02 degrees of angular resolution, then we're going to see this, zone of vision that we're in until the zone of vision that we're in, say we're 10,000 feet above the ground and the bottom half of our vision is 10,000 feet high. We're going to see until that, zone vanishes down to, 0.02 degrees of angular resolution, and you have a 0.02 degree of angular resolution zone that has like 10,000 feet of, space in it. And so eventually you'd think that eventually this would be seen as a marked, a line below the level of the eyes, you'd think, especially with refraction over long distances in light. So it may not necessarily rise perfectly to eye level, based off of that. But I guess we'd have to, do some photographs or as many measurements as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm going to have to segue here. That was a great discussion. Got a little heated
Brandon,
there.
before you do that, can I read this excerpt from this architect book?
Oh,
regarding the
yeah.
horizon?
Yeah, go ahead.
The observer to the horizon to the observer is where the earth and sky apparently meet. It's the neutral line on level with the eye, which retains the same position even though the observer has ascended to lofty heights above the surface of the earth. Figuratively, there are two horizons, one for the observer on the surface of the earth and the other for the observer at any height above it. The distance on the surface of the earth that the eye can see from either location is affixed by certain geometrical principles. When the observer's view of the horizon is unobstructed by objects on the surface of the earth, it appears to be a horizontal plane, inasmuch as the maximum curvature in comparison to its circumference is relatively small. Therefore, it's not necessary to consider this curvature when delineating perspective. As the substance from a fixed point increases with the square root of the distance on a comparative level section of the ground of the surface of the Earth will partially disappear at 3 miles, and any object upon it would lose sight at that distance of 4 miles. The prevailing conditions of the atmosphere will at all times limit the distance the eye can see on the surface of the Earth. Also, topographic contours of the Earth's surface. The horizon of the observer that has ascended to lofty heights above the surface of the Earth in a balloon that is fixed to Earth or a mechanical device that is propelled through the air, the horizon will always be on level with their eyes. The Earth's surface then appears like a huge saucer or a shallow bowl. The rim of the bowl is the horizon, and the point directly below the observer is its geometrical center of the universe. The horizon on the ocean or large bodies of water is known as the visible horizon, inasmuch as there is no permanent object to obstruct the view, as the masts are the first part of the ship to appear on the horizon, followed by the hull. Also, the masts are the last portion of the ship to disappear below the horizon, conveying the impression that it had sunk below the waves or went over the edge, as the curvature of the Earth is not apparent to the eye. However, all moving objects on the body of water appear to disappear in the same manner.
That was
There you
the
go.
globe explanation there, Dana, or?
That's the architectural, from an architectural book describing horizon.
Okay.
And it was written by, which basically they tell you exactly what's going on, conveying the impression, right? It's apparent, right? They're telling you that it's figuratively the two horizons. It's not a geometrical Earth curve. Anyway, the book is, I'm trying to get you the name here.
Yeah, stick it
But
in
I just think
general
it's
if you can.
I think it's about as honest, probably too big of a book to put in there. It's about as honest as reporting as I could find in the world, that we live in. So it was published in 1921, and I can't get the fucking name of the book for you. What the hell?
That's okay. Don't worry about it, Dana.
It's literally called Perspective Delineation, and it's Goyd Lil. I think Goyd. Hold on, let me just make sure that is. But anyway,
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you too.
Hey, what's up? Was that Gadget? What's up, Gadget?
It's Chris.
Oh, hey, Chris. What's up, man?
What's up? Nothing. Thought I'd jump on. I had some time.
Cool. Well, we're just about to start our Friendly Fire Friday, and we got quite the crowd, so we'll see who wants to participate. But before we do that, actually, I just saw a note from Gleam, and he did have something he wanted us to take a look at. Gleam, if you still want to take a look at that. I took a screenshot, I think, at 20 seconds, you said?
Yeah, I'll make it so brief. It was just to build on to exactly what you was just presenting there with Minecraft, where this guy, and you can put the link out in the chat instead of getting a strike or anything. It's only a 1 minute and 40-second thing, but the human eye and lenses all see it in actual curved linear perspective, not linear perspective. And what you were demonstrating there were linear perspective. And all I'm trying to put across here is it's actually worse than what you just demonstrated, but I fully agree with and support it. But I was just showing here, if you can see there, the way how he's adapted Minecraft, he's actually built a whole module onto using curved linear perspective as opposed to the linear perspective to make it look more realistic. And that video shows it, and you can see the difference.
Is that more realistic? That doesn't look more realistic to me.
It is. If you look into how humans actually see, is that there is a focal point. So you don't get to see that big square, basically. You just get to see a circle of that.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you watch it and compare it, because I think he does it as basically switching his off, but still walking around the same thing, and then switching it on, and you'll get it. It's basically, if you can think about it, it's imitating lens distortion.
Yeah.
So let me just establish this. For to get any kind of corrected curve or any convergence, you'd need two straight lines. I mean, if you're using a lens, you would have to work with straight objects, use a lens to converge it, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically we see in you this Euclidean 3D space, the straight lines and angles, but then our eye adds in the spherical nature to it.
That's it, and that's why they say it should be at the center of the lens if you want a horizon, just to avoid the lens distortion and all that crap. But yeah, no, I was impressed with what you did there, because that is exactly right. The higher you get, your angle increases, and therefore you can resolve more. It was a perfect demonstration.
Cool. Thanks, Clem. All right, let's. Esteban Elabaca did have a super chat. He says, "Ranty, what's the difference in your diagram between a 6-foot observer and one at 1,000 feet in relation to how the horizon should rise?" I assume you're looking for some kind of number. I don't know. I don't have it for you, Esteban. Obviously, you'd be able to see further. How much would be dependent on the visibility and other factors. And I think we covered it pretty well, but let me know if you still have a question. Thank you for supporting the show. Okay. Friendly Fire Friday, guys. So we are going to have a competition. Anybody that wants to participate who's on the panel right now can participate. I've got it set up for 8 people, but we can certainly do more. I'll just go down the list and you tell me if you're in, and I'll put your name in here and we'll get it started. What we're going to do is each of these matches is going to face off and answer the same question about the flat earth, or in relation to the flat earth and the topic at hand. And then the audience in chat is going to vote for who they thought answered the question the best. The winner goes on and faces the winner of the other match until we get to a champion. If you would like a question, if you have a question that you want me to include as one of the semifinal, final, or questions, send it in Streamlabs or Super Chat, and that will guarantee that your question gets asked, as long as it's a appropriate subject matter. So, who's in? Brian Leakey, are you in the competition or out?
I'm in.
Brian Leakey is in. Let me just write people's name here while we're going. Chad, are you in or out?
I'll stay out.
Okay, Chad, no problem. Chris Berry.
I'm in, but I'll be kind of coming and going.
All right. Flat Earth Data.
Same as Chris.
So you're in? Okay.
Sure, why not?
Cool. Gary Wybenga.
Yeah, I can't, because I'll be in and out.
No problem. Gleam.
I'll have to give it a pass. I've got THC crystals in my eyes.
Okay. All right. Global virus foe. Interesting.
I'm doing too many other things. I'm out. Thank you, though.
All right. Mark.
I'm in, but I've no idea what I'm in for.
It's all fun. It's just for fun. Travis.
As long as I go against Mark first.
Well, you got your wish there, actually. Jeremy.
I'm in.
Oh, yeah, you have to be in because you're the reigning champion.
Yeah,
so,
I'm in.
Yeah. Jimbo.
I'll watch it play out first time around so I understand how it goes better.
Okay. Lemon. Lemon, you in?
Sure.
Okay, cool. SE, Montreal.
Can't do it tonight. I'm in the middle of something. Sorry.
No problem. Bob Dole.
They moved it down.
I wasn't listening to what you were saying a little while ago. I was trying to get Minecraft to load more blocks for me so I can do more stuff. But what is it that we're answering?
You are you're answering questions. This is Friendly Fire Friday. It's just a friendly competition. I put your name down, so you're in.
Okay. All right.
All right. Excellent.
I guess this settles it then.
It's just like death and taxes. You don't have a choice.
Yeah, you know. I need one more person, so I voluntold you, Bob. Thank you very much. Okay, so
what a high compliment you've given me. We needed another person to make this work, so your name's on this list now.
Well,
Great.
I could have chosen from many people, Bob. All right, so we will go the first round. You will have up to 2 minutes to answer the question. I have created questions to get us started in case we don't have any other questions. I'll ask the question. The person whose name appears first will go first, and the person whose name is below will go second. And then once you have given your answer, the audience will put the number next to your name in the chat, and we'll choose our winner. So Brian and Bob Dole, you're up first. So at least you get to go first, Bob. Okay.
All right, yeah.
Are you ready, gentlemen? Here we go.
Sure.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to skip that question because that's what we just talked about for an hour. It's literally what we just talked about for an hour. Okay. Here's the question. Brian, if the true shape of the world is being kept from the public, how is the secret kept? Who knows the truth?
Okay, if it is being kept, then most everybody is oblivious to it, but just like we didn't question anything as we were growing up, you know, even doing surveying and pilots, you just automatically assume it's round, so nobody ever questioned it. But the people who would know would be the people in high places, just a few of them, and that would be probably royalty and like Admiral Byrd, maybe whoever's in charge of him. They wait, what was the exact question?
It's on. It should be on screen. You should see it on the Discord. It is, if the true shape of the world is being kept from the public, how is the secret kept? Who knows the truth?
Yeah, it's kept by, I'd say also by censoring information, by ridicule, making it look stupid, making it stupid to even ask when it's actually a very good debate, and it's kept by, that's really censorship, man, and ridicule is really what it boils down to. But if I got a little 30 seconds left, I'll say that like most people never even consider it, never even crosses their mind. So I wouldn't say people are lying to us. Even people who work at NASA, they have no idea of what's going. You know, there's got to be a couple people there, but as far as the majority of all their employees, they're probably decent people going, you know, honest day's work. Same thing with teachers. They're not lying to us. They're teaching the way they believe it to be. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, fair enough. Bob Dole, you're up. And the question was, if the true shape of the world is being kept secret from the public, how is it kept? Who knows the truth?
All right, so I've dealt with this previously. This is actually a pretty easy question or argument. Some might call it to dispel. Basically, if somebody does not believe in God, then they already agree that there are literally billions of people on Earth that are being deceived, lied to, okay? And they either agree that they're all in on it, or they'll logically just understand that it's not that everybody is in on it that agrees with the lie. It's that people have given up their responsibility to look at things themselves, and that's how the secret is kept. The same as with fake religions, okay? The person basically relies on whoever it is above them to determine what actually is the religion and what is the truth and how should I act. They get their instructions from the person above them religiously, whether you call that a priest or whatever, and they just take that as that's the way it is. So this really isn't an argument or a confusing thing. People are tricked all the time. If you don't believe there's a God, then you already agree that there are billions of people being tricked right now. Keeping the secret isn't difficult if nobody's looking into it. Who knows the truth? That's a question that we really wouldn't be in a position to answer. We wouldn't know who knows the truth, what small group of people are the ones that are perpetuating the lie or telling the ones under them this is the way it is. We don't know where that extends to or who that would be. But it's basically people who are giving up their responsibility to look for themselves and instead relying on the person above them to just give them instructions on what is. Same as false religions.
Okay. You all set, Bob?
Yep.
Cool. So vote 1 for Brian Leakey, 8 for Bob Dole in the chat now. We'll let the votes go on for a couple minutes. Well, anybody else on the panel who wants to pitch in or discuss this question for a couple minutes can do so. Anybody else have any thoughts on?
Yeah, just real quick.
Go ahead.
Thanks. Two movies that will touch on what was just discussed. The first movie is Smallfoot. Okay, so I can't remember if it's Pixar or who it is, but it's a truth bomb movie where you have this community of Sasquatch or Yetis that are up in the Himalayas. And the priest, who has a coat of stone tablets where all of their laws are written, he knows the truth. He knows that the fabrication of their existence is a lie. Okay, so in that scenario, the top down is very narrow. The other movie to consider in this realm is the movie called The Village, where you have a conglomerate of parents.
That's a good one.
Right? You have a conglomeration of parents who get together and conspire to lie to their children that they live in the 1800s and everything is back to no technology at all, no medicine.
That's two great examples. But he said how, so I said through censorship and ridicule, basically.
Sure, yeah. Well, yeah. I am not trying to take away from anything that was said. This is just what came to my mind in terms of how. We have two examples in movies where we're shown, what's going on, and then the other one would be the Truman Show. You know how that goes. So there you go.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
I would say real quick. I would say that the way they're keeping it, they're not letting us explore Antarctica. They're controlling the space flight. The negative reinforcements that we have are the barriers enough. Like we can't just go up high if we want, or go to Antarctica if we want. It would take a lot of prepping and planning, and we'd have to have permission. So that's some of the ways they're keeping it. And as to who knows the truth.
Reality is how they're keeping it, though. Look, why in the world would they censor flat Earth? It was growing like crazy, and all of a sudden, bam, it just slams on brakes.
Yeah,
because they see what's happening. So censorship is how. I mean, as far as Antarctica, yeah, that's true. But even if we went to Antarctica, how are we going to tell everybody? Hey, we went and we.
Well, but that's
if they censor that information, it's never going to get out anyway. Right?
But they've censored that information, but people are still able to find it if they choose to look for themselves. I think it's more based on the how is actually based on people are not concerned with looking to see what actually is. They're concerned with, I need to pay my bills this month. My child needs diapers this month. I need to get to my job or they'll fire me. Okay? They're so focused on other things and they don't look, they leave the responsibility of knowing where they are and who they are to somebody else, or they completely remove the responsibility entirely and leave it to no one.
Yeah, there's a lot of
So
ways.
your answer would be let people give people more work. I mean, give people more bills, and more work.
They keep us busy.
Can I build
they
on
keep
that?
us busy.
Yeah.
As far as the second answer of who knows the truth, I would say that it'd be pretty hard to hide that from an astronaut in my mind. And a few people at NASA, or the space agency.
I got some ideas.
The Globers always make it seem like
think it's possible
billions of.
I do think it's possible that you could have astronauts up there in the high altitude. Just like who was it? Picard. I'd consider him one of the first astronauts, or Felix Baumgartner. They're just going up. They got better balloons. They're going up higher. And up there with the way the air gets, if it is superfluid up there, then there's no reason they wouldn't be able to go haul ass or be in the circuit that the stars and the sun traveled in. It would be no reason they couldn't haul ass up there. But I don't think they're as high as they say. But I guess it's possible. I don't believe it. I'm highly skeptic, but I like to reserve a little piece of my brain to say it's possible they're up there. But if they look down, all they're going to see is a circle anyway. With their own eyes, you're going to see a circle no matter how high you get. So you could fool them even sending them up 100 miles or so. In my opinion, it'd be possible. Unlikely, but possible.
Just quickly to answer the question to go back to that, if from a globe earther's point of view, if you was to say Bruno, that Giordano Bruno, who got burnt at the stake for suggesting the universe was infinite, he contested the narrative that God exists, and he was burnt at the stake. So obviously there is influence in society from high priests, let's say, and if you can say today's high priests are capitalists, the bigger high priests, so to say, those in control.
Following on from that, we had Hollywood from maybe 1905 to 1950 presenting the Earth as being a globe. You'd got the Universal Studios where everybody was conditioned into believing and seeing graphics that the Earth was a globe. And then 1958, when they sent rockets up high enough to see, oh, fuck, the Earth is not a globe. How do we back from this? Well, we'll just carry on with the lie. And that's the reason why we all were brought up on thinking that the Earth was a globe and that we lived on.
Right, but that's actually an important thing to understand, is that we here were also brought up on that, and somehow we have still managed to determine that it's not a globe, which means those who aren't finding that or making that determination, they are not taking the responsibility on themselves to do so.
Yeah.
The only reason we found it is because we looked. We chose to look for it. Anyone who isn't finding it, it's because they're choosing not to look for it. It's not that it's not available to them. They are choosing to. They're not choosing to actually go search.
But if you're brought up on a diet of Universal Studios, you will never investigate the alternative.
Fair enough. Easy to brainwash the public when there's limited information, and good points all around.
There's no
guys.
incentive to look.
Good points all around. I do have a winner to announce. It was a very close. Brian received 5 votes, and Bob Dole just fell short with 4 votes. Congratulations, Brian. Good
Listen,
showing, Bob.
I think there was some irregularities in the voting system. Were you using Dominion computers software?
Of course.
I want to know if those were connected to the internet.
Hack.
Well, as usual, we will, look into all irregularities after the show and provide a full report. So rest assured. We're going to skip to the bottom here since Chris Berry is kind of in and out of availability, and go with Lemon and Chris Berry. Let me bring up the next question. Lemon, you will go first. Question 3. Objects are often observed to be hidden from the bottom up in the distance. What causes this? Lemon, you're up. Did we lose Lemon? We did. We lost Lemon.
I can take his go because I can answer like him.
Okay, go ahead.
Not in the same voice and not in the same accent, but I
can't
can...
spit that shit like Lemon. Come on.
No way. I agree 100%. But I know he would say it's to do with the convergence angle of your limits of your view based upon your height away from the surface. So there was the further you get, the more compressed it gets, and there will be a limit to how much of the floor that you can see, and your angle all goes in and converges into one single line, aka the horizon line. Anything beyond that point and that is larger than your eye height, the bottom would have been squashed into 1 pixel line, let's say, and anything larger would be above your eye height, and therefore the bottom would appear to be missing because it's squashed into this angle compression. Hopefully I said that, but I don't know the complex words that he uses.
Lemon does have quite the vocabulary. Thanks for stepping up there, Gleam.
That was good. That was a good try. That was good.
Chris Berry, you are up.
I mean, this one's obvious, guys. It's Earth curve.
Says the guy who's actually proved it isn't. I was like, when I heard the question, I was like, damn, it's Lemon. And then I heard Chris, I was like, damn, it's Chris. Both of them have proved the same. I know it.
Well, yeah, and this one's actually tough because obviously I don't disagree with what you said or what Lemon would probably say. But to make the game fun, I will answer slightly different and say I believe that what causes this? Well, I think it's multiple causes, first of all. But second of all, if I were to point out one cause for why we typically see things disappear bottom up on a flat surface, is that ether band. So perhaps is ether band, the atmosphere, basically, right? And we know that this is a great cause of why these objects are disappearing. I mean, Ranty's done it. Brandon, you've done it. The video that you show in the garage is a perfect example. The Sky Free people have done it. Like, lots of people have now done this to show atmosphere and refraction. Basically, is the thing, right? It's refraction due to the density of atmosphere. But the reason I think this is key is because Globers can pull up videos of people doing this and saying, "Oh, look, it doesn't, it's not being blocked because I'm on a supermarket floor and I'm like 100 yards away, but I can still see the full object." Well, that just means to me that it can't simply be the angle and the limit or whatever, or it hasn't met the limit perhaps, but either way. But you can do that same thing in a 30 or 40 foot garage, and you lift the door and the atmosphere kicks in, and the whole thing disappears. So in my opinion, that's a stronger effect.
Okay, thank you, Chris Berry, and the voting is now open. That is 7 for Gleam standing in for Lemon, and 2 for Chris Berry. 7 for Gleam, 2 for Chris Berry. Go ahead and get your votes in, and discussion is open for the panel. For any other thoughts?
That was just the vote numbers, not how many votes they got. Okay.
There's a multitude of things that could make this happen.
Can you guys hear me at all? Am I coming through clear? I changed it.
We hear you.
A little low, a little lower,
You're
but
a little
yeah.
low.
I don't know how to turn.
I would say that there's multiple effects that can make this happen. I think somebody's got a list of like 100 things that could cause this. We've seen it in
a practical example would be take an object 4 feet, take your camera, put it 4 feet, take it another object that's 4 feet, just like 4 feet, 0.1, and put it out in a distance away, and you'll notice that any object moves that object into. Know that based on angle.
Oh, your mic is cutting out data. We're catching every other word. Sorry.
Yeah, it's rubbing off from me. But I'd like to also point out that these pictures they show with ships halfway cut off and all this is something we don't see with our regular eye. So I hope everybody in the audience listening and can appreciate the fact that these pictures are highly zoomed with good cameras or telescope. I mean, to see that, you have to really zoom in. This ain't something we see with the naked eye. You have to zoom in, and it varies from day to day. More often than not, it depends on the atmosphere, and it's just some things. I don't know. There's limits to everything. Our vision's no exception.
Okay. Any last votes out there? Get them in now. Oh, Brian, by the way, your microphone has been pretty good tonight, your reception. So whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
Has anyone here met Lemon, like, in person?
No.
You guys keep referring to Lemon as he, and I have always referred to Lemon as she. And it sounds like a lady to me. So, like, does he just have a feminine voice? Like, I wouldn't say mine's the most manly, but, or is that like a lady pretending to be a dude?
I've called Lemon she a couple times on accident because of the voice.
I'd love to meet Lemon, to be honest, to just talk.
Your microphone's really low, Gleam.
Sorry. I'd love to meet Lemon either way, just to talk.
Yeah.
I've always assumed Lemon was a guy.
Yeah, I don't care about any of that.
Okay, so nobody has asked or made a determination necessarily, that you guys have just been using whatever you thought you should use?
I guess so.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like that awkward.
I never thought to ask. I just talked.
She's never corrected me, so
yeah.
I don't know.
I'm going to be surprised. How about this? I'm going to be surprised either way.
Nice. Wow.
Lemon is cool either way.
That's messed up. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Lemon's great.
Lemon is cool.
No, it doesn't matter which one. It's just it would be nice to know which one.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're making an issue.
I'm going through the votes
Gleam,
with
if you
a
ever do have
fine-tooth comb because there has been some irregularities this session. So continue talking while I sort out this this mess that has been created.
Gleam, if you do ever have a conversation with Lemon and record it, let me know so I can listen to it because I'm gonna need a lot of weed for that one.
So taking it back to the topic, at least, don't you guys concur, though, at least as far as my point goes, that you can show the atmospheric refraction effect blocking something much closer than you can show the limited angle effect? Like for the limited angle, to me, you have to be possibly a mile or more away, especially if the object's large. Maybe, if it's like a can of Coke, yeah, not as far, but you can't get a can of Coke to disappear bottom up, say 50 feet away, just from using the angle. You gotta add in the refraction or whatever. Do you agree?
I 100% agree with your side as well. They both combined. Yeah.
This would be tough to model over. Yeah, 50 feet, 100 yards. We're trying to do this
There are
shit.
There are those videos showing coins on a table, though, like disappearing from the bottom up as the coin slides back on the table. It's a matter of scale, isn't it?
Chris has done that very thing.
I think
that's true.
I think the scale.
So it's a matter of scale.
Dependent. I think there's some scale
You can't
dependent
make a
variables
building
too, though.
disappear within 50 feet like that, but you could just basically scale it down and make a smaller object disappear like that, it seems like.
Well, the aperture of the human eye is going to limit where you got to at least be, or the camera. The aperture of the camera is similar to the human eye, so you're going to have to be a little distance away. I would think it'd be a few hundred feet or something like that.
Oh, maybe.
The absolute bare minimum to get 0.002 or less.
I want to jump in
That's
just real
less
quick
than
and just say briefly that I think along the same lines as what I was trying to say before about the horizon. There's a beauty and a symmetry to what happens as we move away from an object. So if you have a building in front of you and you move away, that building is going to change three-dimensionally. So if you're standing next to it and then you move away 100 yards, it's not disappearing from the bottom up ever. Even when you get 20 miles away, it's never disappeared from the bottom up. It's always been proportional to the 3D image. So that's been my stance from the very beginning, that these objects do not ever disappear bottom up. The point at which it gets to that point where we interpret the data is where the angular resolution that Gleam mentioned and Lemon would talk about. That stuff is true. Flat Earth data, all that stuff is true. But as Chris answered as well, you bring those two things together, then you've got a compound effort against angular resolution.
Okay, but
good stuff,
like,
guys. We got to move on to the next question. Sorry about that. I know. We could go on all night about this, though, as you guys know. All right, so we do have a winner. Lemon Gleam team scored 3 points, and Chris Berry zoomed ahead with 5. Congratulations, Chris. You've made it to the
Bob got
semifinals.
27 votes.
Sorry about that, Lemon.
Right?
He did his best. I know Gleam did his best.
I did, but unfortunately I did log into my Mac Earth account and vote for Chris as well.
I voted twice.
I caught the duplicate votes. I went through things with a fine-tooth comb, so I think everything's on.
You investigated yourself and found yourself completely clear. The election was entirely fine.
Absolutely, and I deserve a raise too. Just obviously. All right.
Of course.
Next group is Travis and Mark, and the question is: Travis will go first. Mark will go second. Question 4, will rockets work in the vacuum of space? Why or why not? Take it away, Travis.
You must.
Well, the very first reason is because the vacuum of space does not exist. It's not actual. It's not real. It's an imaginary place. The second way that I would answer that is that in all of our experience here on terra firma, the practical, sensible, logical, empirical experience is that, for instance, if we put a boat in water, that boat is a mechanical device created for the medium in which it's placed. you put that boat 10,000 feet up in the air and expect it to fly, it ain't going to fly. And that's because the machine is not proportional to the environment that it's for which it's created. So in each of those instances, a boat needs physical matter to propel itself along the plane. An airplane as well needs a medium through which it's going to propel itself. And if the vacuum of space is at least not really a vacuum, we don't say it's a vacuum. It's just very low pressure. You know, the idea behind that is that there's not enough of the medium through which it's expected to exist. There's not enough of it to create a tension, a surface of friction upon which it's going to then move or travel.
Okay, thanks, Travis. Mark, you're up.
Travis thinks that Scotch whiskey is superior to Irish whiskey. What's his opinion? It's totally false.
This is an ad hom and a red herring and a non sequitur. I win. Those are three fallacies.
No, you don't. Okay, the panel, is Irish superior to Scotch?
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor. Objection.
Is there such thing as Irish
do
tape?
not follow.
This is an
It doesn't
unorthodox use of his 2 minutes, but it is within the rules according to the handbook.
Irish above Scotch.
Scotch.
All right, Mark. Anything else on your side?
That's it. Irish trumps Scotch at any time.
He was going to say Scotch. You guys heard him say it.
All right, go ahead and vote 5 for Travis or 4 for Mark in his unorthodox argument in this competition.
You must have been listening to Gems earlier, clearly, Brandon. They went over this for hours and hours. I mean, as I got beef with Newton, but this would be a third law violation because of a reaction. They're shooting gas out of the back of the rocket. If space was real, theoretically the rockets should work.
I don't know.
I think
it just something in my brain kind of short circuits when I think about this. Yeah, I understand what you're saying about Newton. For every reaction, there's an opposite equal reaction. You throw the mass out, the other mass goes this other way, but it just doesn't make any sense to me.
It's not equal. Listen, you can't take a boat. You cannot take a boat and put it in the air and expect it to propel itself. That's the same thing as taking a rocket and putting it into space. All you've done is don't tell me to hang on.
Hang on.
I'm done talking, people.
Travis, your name is Irish. Finlay. Irish trumps Scotch.
It's Scotch Irish. It's Scots Irish.
Let me say something real quick, guys.
Don't make me get.
I wasn't even allowed to finish, Brian. Can you just hold on, Brian?
My bad. Yeah,
Okay.
you're right. My bad.
Okay. Now, take that airplane that exists and works in air and an atmosphere and raise its elevation. It is going to stop working at a certain point because the medium will not support. If you make the object bigger than an airplane, a fucking rocket, you're now out of scale, putting it in a place where it's not even going to work even more so.
So we're talking about two different technologies, though, right?
Yeah.
See, the planes, they work on a funnel or vortex system, whereas the rockets supposedly have combustion that would propel them.
Look here, man. I was next. Look, you take I could take this badass propane torch I got and get one of these big propane tanks and hook it up, and it just. I did it on an after show. It's just it's overwhelming how it's shooting out freaking fire, and it's got zero push at all. Okay, it's awesome. It melts shit, it burns shit, but it ain't got a speck of push. Now I take a little blower, a shitty about to die leaf blower, and blow it. I feel the push pushing against my hand. If there's no resistance, you're gonna get no motion, dude. You could get solid separation when they use a bullet and a gun to describe. As long as you want to explode solids apart from each other, yeah, you'll get that. But you'd get minuscule separation from gas, minuscule, because it's going to go by the mass. not what's coming out of it.
Brandon.
Yeah.
Travis actually takes ice in his scotch, which is sacrilege.
I do not. I drink my scotch neat. Shut up. Kick this off the panel.
Let me check the rule book. Yeah, Travis, I'm sorry you've been disqualified from the competition.
Wow. What the PHUCK?
Yeah, no.
So
Actually,
can I finish up?
Yeah, well, let me announce the winner, and then you can finish up, and then we'll go to the next question. But there has been a decisive victory, and that goes to Travis, taking all 7 votes. 7 to, sadly, nothing, Mark. I'm sorry. Your views on Scotch whiskey were not compelling for the audience, but thank you for participating.
I don't actually consider this a win. Okay,
That's a fix.
This was
It's
not
a fix.
a win.
It's a fix. It's Irish whiskey, not Scotch whiskey.
All right. Somebody was going to say something before I go on.
Yeah, that was me. So I just wanted to round it out because I emailed a vacuum expert about this question, because there's people putting out videos saying, well, it does work because we've demonstrated it, and they're taking these little bitty
Objection,
vacuums.
there's no such thing as a vacuum expert.
He's called a sucker.
Okay, carry on.
You shut it. So there's people that with videos on YouTube with like these 4 feet long tubes, and they put like a little rocket or incendiary in there, like a firework or whatever, and they're lighting it, and then after a few seconds they're saying, oh look, it's moving. So this guy says as soon as the rocket motor ignites, it would fill the chamber with gas like within the first second, and then there would not be a vacuum anymore. The expansion ratio between the solid rocket propellant and the gas it produces is very high. This is what makes it work. I think he's lucky the chamber did not explode from overpressure. So
what they do with the rockets?
Here's the thing.
What they do with the rockets,
right, is that if you increase it's demonstrated here. Drive a accelerating your vehicle, put your hand.
You're cutting in and out still, Data.
You're real quiet.
What they do is with the rockets, though, they make a little area of gas in the bottom of the rocket, and then they explode that before it can seep out into the vacuum of space, I think.
But the vacuum of space, the supposed vacuum of space, if you want an equal and opposite reaction, the opposite reaction is the vacuum is the gas is just being pushed into the vacuum, and that gas is just being shot out with nothing to press against.
Yeah, and why did they have such trouble in the early days with these like rocket planes that they were shooting up into the atmosphere, like Jaeger and those guys, trying to get up to like 120,000 feet? And what they would do is they would just rocket as fast as they could in the lower atmosphere and just like ride it up as high as they could go, and then come back down.
And then it would stop. Right. They do that to this day.
Yeah, that seems like that's what they're doing. I'm not buying it, man. What did Newton know about vacuums anyway?
Me neither. Without air, you're not going to get combustion. So that's probably nature's way of working this question out for us. They have to provide. They call it oxygen, but it's air in general, and so oxygen has to make an atmosphere. So they could make an atmosphere inside of a chamber, but there's no resistance, man. But like I said, nature's got a way of fixing this problem for us. It won't allow combustion.
The push off the when the combustion happens, it pushes the rocket forward.
Yeah,
it doesn't. I don't know. I hate this argument.
I want to see a demonstration in a bigger vacuum chamber. Those little ones aren't cutting it for me. All right, let's move on. Next question is for Flat Earth Data and Jeremy, the defending champion. It is question number 5. Data, you'll go first. Physicists since Newton claim that weight is caused by mass being accelerated toward the center of the Earth. F equals ma. Is this correct? If not, why not? Did Data drop off? Oh shit. Well, maybe he'll come back. Jeremy, you want to go ahead and start off? Give your answer. Maybe Data will join back on. I know he's having problems with his mic.
Gleam is the standing pitch hitter right now.
Well, Lemon's back, so Lemon could theoretically take Data's place if he wanted to, and that would kind of even out the universe here.
I would just love Lemon to put it in his own words, though.
I'll try to put my own lemony version on it.
I mean, on the perspective question that you dropped off earlier, and I stepped in for you, tried to explain how you would explain why things go missing bottom up over Earth, over flat Earth.
That's just the top smashing into each other, the top and bottom half of vision smushing into each other due to perspective, like looking down a hallway. That's
Smooshing. That was the word. Smooshing.
Smooshing.
That's a technical word you forgot.
Oh no, that is just a word of beauty. Smooshing.
Thank you, good sir.
But we will substitute you in, Lemon, if that's okay for Data, since he seems to have dropped off. You want to take this question?
It looks like the implication is that it's going to the center of a ball. That's not necessarily. A lot of physics right now is about fields, basically the medium surrounding you, determining what, rises, sinks, or falls, or whatever, or floats. So instead of it being an acceleration downward, it may be an acceleration from the surrounding medium.
Okay. Thank you, Lemon. Jeremy, your response. You're up.
First of all, they can't prove center of Earth. I think that could happen on a flat plane too, if it got dense enough beneath us. If it was long enough and dense enough beneath us. But anyways, F equals ma falls apart at the quantum scale, I believe. So I don't think you can really, all the laws need to be quantum mechanical because that's happening all around us always. So, but yeah, weight being caused by the mass. I don't know. I'll just go with what I said already.
You're so dumb, Jeremy.
Okay.
I know.
Thank you to the peanut gallery there. Go ahead and get your votes in if anybody has anything to say about F equals ma or the Newtonian model of physics being correct or not. Go ahead.
I've got an addition, if that's all good.
Go for it.
Yeah. Newton's is a descriptor of what happens in reality. So F equals ma stands. It is correct on certain scales. Jeremy was perfectly correct to say it fails in the quantum scale and also cosmic scale. So yes, it is a law of physics, but physics recognize that all laws are probabilistic rather than absolute, meaning that they don't work all the time. They are more likely to work.
Exactly. Add a variable or an unknown, any variable, and all the math changes. And that's been exampled more, several times in our history. As they update science, they change a variable, just say they're getting further progression of science. But that's a nice way of saying the old shit's gone and out the door, right?
Yeah.
You add a variable, you refute the math, and they call it updating, superseding, whatever. It's falsifying the previous shit.
Can I just ask, Brendan, where do you get these questions again?
I made them up.
Okay, I mean, I will say that you got this wrong, because physicists since Newton would include Einstein, and accelerated towards the center of Earth is a bit opposite way round in Einstein's version. In Einstein's version, instead of the apple dropping towards the center of mass being pushed down by a force, the actual Earth is going towards a static apple floating in the sky.
He somehow made it more mentally retarded.
What are the numbers? Hey, Brian, what are the numbers? What are the numbers we vote for again?
That's relativity.
Five for Data, 6 for Jeremy. Just stick with 5 for Data. It was actually 3, but 5. 5 for Data, 6 for Jeremy, or 5 for Lemon, 6 for Jeremy. Yeah, the question is a little malformed, and we could probably rewrite it 25 times, and I'll hate it. But I want to put my 2 cents in on this. What Newton did was kind of a magic trick here with this F equals ma, in my opinion. They even refer to it as, what is it? The first great unification in physics. because he brought in the model of the universe and tied it to how we see things behave on Earth. We can all observe things being accelerated towards the Earth, and then he said, well, this is how that's all happening there with the stars. Tying the two together. I think that this, when you say F equals ma, you're immediately talking about the heliocentric model, period. Even if it's right, even if you can calculate it with it, it's baked right into it.
On Earth in the quantum scale, that doesn't work. So,
Well, the way they interpret it is with Neoplatonism saying that this force of whatever automatically pulls to a perfect little aesthetic ball from, Greece or whatever, Greek thought. That's just a philosophical statement that's not actually proven. The closest that we have to that at best is surface tension, which is a small scale interaction where, at the small scale, something like water will form kind of a glob, but when it gets bigger and bigger, it flattens out. So it's not really proven.
I think to beg to differ with you slightly there, Brandon. If you can imagine, there's a marble sitting on a desk, and that marble is at rest. In order to move that marble in any direction, you need to give it a force. Now that is the equation for, and it will work every time with that marble in your finger. Of you, no matter how far you pushing it, if you tap it a little bit, it will move a couple of centimeters and then stop. If you tap it a big amount, it will drop off the table.
Yeah.
Now that acceleration.
Walking back and forth.
Yeah, that mass is obviously the friction. How much friction is going to cause on it rolling and then coming to rest again, and the acceleration is how fast that is going and how long that will go for.
Well,
and
part of it is field, because if you hit it too hard, it'll be like a bullet and it'll just smash right through the thing. It won't move coherently unless there's field coherency. Now, if you move it with just the right amount of strength and just the right amount of approach, you can move the whole object. But if you hit it with too hard of a force, too concentrated, too focused, and too coherent, you'll just like a bullet rip right through the object. So it's fields, it's coherency that's interacting with the whole object, and then you can have some movement.
I got no problem with using this to calculate shit. Here's the problem I have: this MA, and when you turn this A into little g, and then build on top. That's the problem I have with it.
That was Einstein's contribution.
Hold on, let me tell you my problem with it. That if everything's falling at 9.8 meters a second squared, when you change that mass, wouldn't that give you a different F?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything's falling at 9.8 meters per second squared, but it doesn't matter what the mass of the object is. So if we change the M, that should give you a different F, like right there. Am I bugging?
No, that's how it works. Yeah, that's how the equation works. But
yeah, but how are you getting a different force for gravity right in the same spot? Like
the A is the gravity that's the acceleration. The A is the acceleration. The F equals out to
so it's a
is equivalent to
not
weight.
an explanation.
The F is the weight. I thought the gravity was the force.
The gravity.
I get it now.
The gravity
It
is the
definitely
force.
a description, because you cannot explain what an actual force is, but
yeah,
it is a description. It's a law.
The philosophy is so shot because a force is something from outside of you acting on you to force you to do something that you don't normally do. But then on one hand, they describe it as something outside that compels you. And then on the other hand, they describe it as something that's inherent to matter. So at that point, it's saying the matter is forcing itself with an attribute it already has within itself.
Yeah.
That's incoherent. A force is from outside of the thing, forcing something else that doesn't, normally have that sort of, force on itself or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good way to state it. They divorced the force and what the cause of the weight from the object itself.
Well, that's why they interchange it with A, because if you press on a wall,
It makes sense.
it's the force is the well, is that the same formula? If you press on a wall or not? I don't even know.
Back at you. Yeah, it pushes back on you with equal and opposite. Yeah.
Right, but it's why they use A and not G a lot of times.
But no, it was Einstein who made the connection. He said that Einstein basically said there is no actual thing as gravity. He changed the concept of gravity to be, it's not actual this separate thing. It is actually acceleration of Earth. And the mass in the angular momentum disturbs the space-time around it. Now forget the space-time, the acceleration, this gravity thing, as I was saying, he changed it and flipped it on his head to say there's nothing pulling it down. It's the Earth's actual force of its momentum pushing up or going up.
But the problem, that would mean that the Earth is always expanding.
No, that is exactly it. But that's where the magic of length contraction, time dilation, and the conversion comes in.
Oh,
that puts it back to normal.
I'm already dizzy to the point of wanting to puke. All right, let's.
I know, right? Why
maths.
did you do that, Gleam?
It's maths. It's just maths. It's just maths.
Yeah, it's just maths. Yeah, well said. So here's the winner of this one. Is Lemon. You got 2 votes. Jeremy came in with 4. Jeremy moves on to the next round. Thanks for taking Flat Earth Data spot, Lemon. And congratulations on your victory, Jeremy. We'll go to the next semifinal rounds. We'll start off with Brian and Travis, since Jeremy just went. And the question will be first for Brian Leakey and second for Travis. And here we go. Here's another one where we're getting into physics. Cavendish believed that he had determined the density of the Earth with his torsion balance experiment. Briefly describe why you believe this is or isn't true. You're up, Brian.
Okay. He believed he added up the density of the Earth. I mean, I'll give him props on this. I mean, it probably took him and a team of people in a think tank probably a couple years. I don't know, or maybe not that long, but a long time to come up with the matching numbers of what they did know, and that was even limited back then. But the Cavendish that they try to use to prove gravity went in with the assumption that mass already attracted mass. Same thing with the Michelson-Morley. They are already going in with the assumption the Earth is moving around the sun. So they went in with an assumption. And it's exactly like Coulomb's law, basically. I think it's 6 times, it's measured, I think they measure it in Newton, and it's like 6 times 10 to the 11th, where Coulomb's law is amps per hour. 1 amp per, Coulomb's per amp now. And I think it's like 6 times 10 to the 8th. So it's basically hijacking Coulomb's law, I think, the Cavendish. They're hijacking Coulomb's law. It's now that we know more about electrostatics and everything, whether it has to do with gravity or not, I'm not arguing that, but I will say that it's definitely, they know a lot more, and if they redid the math, got together, they could come up with a happy median. And each of them, Cavendish, I always say that if it's so delicate and can detect such minute forces, why doesn't it detect the force of the motion of the Earth? If they've eliminated the gravity with the torsion balances, then why couldn't it perceive the force of the motion of the Earth that us as humans barely can't perceive? It's just under our reach of being able to perceive, they say. But if they've eliminated that force, the up and down force with the torsion bar, then it should move when we turn corners in our elliptical orbit. That's it.
All right, thanks, Brian. Travis, you're up.
Okay. There are certain presuppositions that this claim is based on, and that is that the Earth is what we are told. It is an oblate spheroid. So the density of the Earth then is going to be based on that understanding. Otherwise, my question always is, what is your observed phenomenon? What is it that you are basing your claim upon? That you are measuring the density of the Earth? What is it that you observed that makes you think the Earth has density at all in the way that is claimed? What was the other thing that I was thinking about? Had to do with presuppositions, assuming something to already be the case. Crap and a smurf. What was it? I guess the other part would be, again, I wouldn't even. This is a tertiary issue, right? So this is just like arguing that if you change your location, that the weight of something is going to change. That's based on a belief that centrifugal force is what it is, and that the Earth is spinning. So you already believe the other two things. So we have to take this back to the very beginning. So I guess my basic thing is briefly describe. I don't believe that this is true because the question is not based on an empirical observation that shows that the two ideas are related to each other.
All right. Thank you very much, Travis. Time to vote. Get your vote in chat. 1 for Brian Leakey, 5 for Travis.
A late addition too. The Cavendish experiment is they used the lead balls and the setup from Coulomb's previous experiment. They try to say that Newton's law came first, but it was not demonstrated until about 14 years after Coulomb's law was demonstrated. So that's a false statement, and they sit on that heavily. It's false. Coulomb's law, they used the apparatus of Coulomb to do the Cavendish experiment. That is originally to detect static charges.
Do they really?
Last but not least,
He is correct. John Mitchell's equipment was originally used for electrostatics, and that was what Coulomb was experimenting with.
I just wanted to state for the record that this is after Brian's allotted time. What he has just said should be stricken from the record.
Just struck it. Struck it out.
Yeah, it's over time.
Yeah, I said what you said in the first 2 seconds, though, Travis, man. So, I wouldn't worry about it, man. You're dust, buddy.
Wow.
I didn't know that it was because they always tell the story about, he got it from John Michel, who didn't get to do the experiment before he died, that they were actually using it to try to, I'm guessing the same experiment except with electrostatics. Is that what they were thinking?
Where Brian's gone is it's the inverse square law.
Yeah.
Inverse square law applies to both, and it applies to a lot of things, obviously, with light and lumens and stuff.
Yeah, they're arbitrary numbers, basically. That's why I said it probably took them forever to calculate all this shit. But think about it, man. They're using lead balls. If they want to make this a legitimate experience, they could learn more about static charges by using a ton of different and varying and mixed balls. You know what I'm saying? They could see, but they're going off lead because they say it's dense enough and all that horse shit. If they want to make that a real experiment, they can. I don't know if they ever truly could, but they could sure learn a lot more with that setup. And I think that's kind of what they're doing with the advancement of battery technology. To be honest, man, I'm not sure.
Okay. Anybody got anything else on this one? We'll get your votes in. If you haven't gotten your votes in, I see 4 votes out there. So vote.
Can I give an interesting fact about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, albeit Cavendish experiment is the actual experiment that's supposed to have proven G. G wasn't actually formulated or inserted into the formula until 75 years after Cavendish's death by unnamed physicists. They've never actually been recorded at all.
Really?
Whoever done it.
Yeah. I tried to look for that when I did, when I was researching Cavendish, because I researched it for like 3 or 4 months. And I never could find out who that was or it came about. It was very vague, the information that I found out there. But do you know how big the force was that Cavendish measured?
Yeah, I mean, it's 1/50th millionth.
150 millionth of the small ball's weight, which is like 1/3 of a grain of salt, literally.
But what you've got to think as well, that's in relation to the Earth. That's what he was extrapolating
Yeah,
out.
swamped with assumptions.
No, he was saying the Earth caused this. He was saying literally that force that was moving that ball was that much. That's what he meant.
Yeah.
We have electrical fields within the barn,
You know they
within the
ground one of
masses,
the barrels,
within the
too.
torsion balance, within Cavendish's body, within the air. I mean, you just can't, extrapolate out all of this stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's
Think
right.
about
That's
this, y'all.
impossible.
This deserves to be heard. Okay, so they ground one of the constant, the ball that's the constant on either end. They ground them. So they take a wire and run it to the swivel and ground it in the earth. So we know that the earth provides a negative charge, basically. That's how they powered the old telegraph system. It ain't much, but it's constant. And so you take and you ground that thing, and you want to call it gravity that's attracting the balls. I bet if you lifted that apparatus up higher, they'd attract even quicker. I mean, it's crazy. They take a wire from one of the constant balls and run it to the ground, a copper wire. That's insanity, man. There's so many possibilities with that experiment that I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that bothers me is you're taking this. Okay, you've got this force. You calculate it out. First of all, you're saying that the torsion beam being attracted sideways is the same force that causes things to fall to the ground. I don't know why you got that assumption. I think that's a stretch. And then you're extrapolating that out to say this is the force that orders everything that we can see, the stars, the moons, everything is beholden to this force that I just measured with these balls that weighs 1/3 of a grain of sand, or that's equal to. It's just it seems like a crazy extrapolation.
Well, their paradigm was that everything's a polar force. Yeah.
What's that?
They needed a gravitational constant for their whole paradigm to work. Okay, for it to be a ball, they needed a gravitational constant to explain the planets. That's what I'm saying. They had to observe all the planets and do all this math and come up with this number that's going to work for the Earth, these different materials, and Jupiter and Saturn and all this stuff. That's what I said. It probably took them forever. It's an arbitrary number, but it still took a hell of a lot of brain work. That's one thing I will give them. But
and you could go either way with the paradigm, because they're saying that everything reduces down to pushing and pulling, and so they said that the mass of the Earth had to be pulling, but you could just reverse it with relativity and just say it's the medium pushing. A medium pushing on you from all sides would give you a globular aspect if you're, going to go Neoplatonic and talk about these round planets anyway. So they could have gone in so many directions with it, but they assumed that space was a vacuum that has no properties and nothing that they had to catalog.
All right, we have a winner here. Travis, you got 2 votes. Brian, you have defeated Travis, who was the runner-up last time, 4-2. Congratulations, Brian. You'll be in the finals. The crowd goes wild. Next up, Jeremy versus Chris Berry. Chris, are you available to continue at this time?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's go to the next one. The next one was submitted by Esteban Ilabaca. And it is how does the lunar eclipse work on a flat Earth? First will be Jeremy, followed by Chris. Jeremy, how does the lunar eclipse work on a flat Earth?
Well, we can tell you they don't work on a globe Earth, because during the selenilian, you got the shadow coming from the top. So we can just cross that idea out right now, that the sky is working like they tell us. As far as how it would work on a flat Earth, it could just be the optical effects of how the sun's hitting the moon, or if the moon's lighting itself. I mean, who knows? Now we're into speculation of how the sky works, and it's very iffy at this point. That's all.
All right, thanks, Jeremy. Chris, your turn.
Yeah, my answer is not going to be much better. Space is fake. Second law of thermodynamic violation. So whatever's going on up there, we don't really know. No one really knows. It's all speculation. It's all guesswork. It's all assumption built upon assumption, like Rumpus's the body of science. They don't have a body of science. What they do have is just assumption built on assumption, as I mentioned. So yeah, not a great answer, but I don't know. I don't worry about the sky. When we as flat earthers, when we focus on the ground, we win that battle day in and day out. We win it with the horizon. We win it with the lack of motion, all those things. So it's typical that a baller would ask that question, because they're focused on the stars and the other luminaries in the sky, whereas flat earthers are worried about what's happening right here underneath our feet.
The body of science compels you. The body of science compels you.
All right, thank you very much. Vote. Get your votes in out there. 6 for Jeremy, 2 for Chris Berry, 6 for Jeremy, 2 for Chris Berry. Voting is open. Go ahead, guys.
Lemon took the win.
I wish
at the
that was
end
my
right there.
question. I wish that had been our question, man. Because let's just go off what we see, what it looks like. Okay. Yeah, they're both right. We don't know for sure. We're speculating, but that speculating could be fun. So what we see is the moon lit up. You know, it seems to deviate from time to time from where the sun's at. I have a video on that too, but mostly it's facing whatever's facing the sun seems to be lit up. So, and it's going dark. It's not going black, but for temporarily when the moon's farthest away, you know, every couple years when the moon's farthest away, it seems to get shaded. It doesn't disappear, it doesn't turn black, it just doesn't have as much light, and it doesn't last long. So apparently the moon, in my opinion, is hitting a spot at its apogee, furthest away from the sun, where it's the throw of the light is not quite reaching it, you know. So it's just getting a little bit of light from the earth shine, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, obviously it's not the earth blocking the moon. That's one thing we could all agree on.
I certainly agree that it is not the earth blocking the moon. Yeah, I don't really pay attention. Like Chris, I kind of agree with you. I really don't pay too much attention to the eclipses and stuff. Because I just don't think we know enough. We can't go up there. We just have to base everything that we know on what we can see from the ground. We don't know how it works. We don't know what the medium is. We don't know what those things are.
You could just trust NASA.
Yeah, I guess. I'm not in the habit of trusting my government or anybody else's government to
Come
for that
on,
matter.
you can trust the government. You can trust the government. Come on, they've never lied.
All right, let's see how the votes are adding up. We have got 3 votes for Chris Berry. And it looks like the reigning champion has been defeated. 1 vote for Jeremy. Congratulations, Chris. You were a great champion, Jeremy. It's sad to see you go.
No doubt. That's all right.
Whoa!
All right. Next up is the finals. Brian, Chris Berry, you guys ready? I got a doozy of a question for you.
What? Yeah, I have a question though, because what happens if is a question that we just absolutely agree on, right? It's possible, right?
Well, you're not. This isn't going to happen
right?
on this one. I'm very, very, very convinced that's not going to happen.
The better version of that answer, right?
Yep.
Sell it better.
Absolutely. You guys could have the same exact answer. I tried to write them so they're not like one-word answers, you know. But yeah, the best answer. Just vote for who you think had the best answer.
All right, got it. Go for it.
All right, here we go. It is going to be Brian. You're going to be up first. And the question is
the earth flat?
No, that'd be a one word answer. Question 8. You are king for a day, and your number one priority is to once and for all determine the shape of the earth in a way that can be easily communicated to everyone. You have all the world's resources at your disposal. What do you do, and how do you communicate it to the world?
All right. First off, I build a wall with a bunch of square panels, like Brian Mullen said, with the balls out physics, because we could do that. We could build a wall that's absolutely square on a tangent and see whether that like they claim with CERN, except CERN was built way before this debate. They adding that in, but it would be a tangent, and if the Earth is a globe, then that wall would start to rise off the ground. It would be apparent, probably sooner than people expect. It would probably become apparent within a couple miles, in my opinion. I also would, run a fleet to Antarctica. Okay, I would send carrier. I would send a bunch of supporting ships with some aircraft and basically what they've already done. And to get it out there, I'd simply stop censoring. It'll do its own work. I would pretty much go with the fact that nobody is held accountable for anything as far as lies, because it's going to be a shock. But nothing has to change. Look, we were all wrong, okay? Whoever made this system is obviously God, is our creator. We're peons compared to his intelligence, but it is crafted in a way where it could be perceived to be, you could argue concave, you could argue flat, you could argue globe. It's definitely above our minds, so it would go down as, shock, so nothing changes, and that'd be about the best you could do, and try not to let radical, I could keep going on and on about that, but I'll consider, I'd say I'd send a fleet down to the Arctic to get a true map of the Earth, the true boundaries, and I would build a wall first and foremost, and then I'd probably plan then how to get it out. But I think it's going to get out, whether they do that or not. It's going to get out. It's a matter of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Chris Berry, your response.
So I like Brian's idea, but I think he left a little bit out there. He fell short a little bit. So I would go to the Antarctic as well, but I would do the expedition route, and not like anything that's been done before, right? Based on your question, I'm king for the day. I have unlimited resources. I'm talking groups and groups of dozens and dozens of flat earthers, globers, whoever wants to go. And we're not stopping at the fake, ceremonial South Pole or whatever is there. We're going all the way. We're stomping on snow. We're stomping on the plant life that their treaties, the Antarctic Treaty says we can't do. We're taking dumps, all over the place and peeing and things that are make it really hard and challenging to go down there. We're leaving trash, right? We don't care about this treaty. I'm king. I dissolved the treaty. We're going down there. We're going to explore. We're going south. Right, we're taking the most expensive compasses possible. Whatever it says is south, we're going. And as long as we keep pointing south, we're either going to hit the supposed wall, dome, or we're going around to the other side and we're coming back around. Right. So something like that is going to happen. So that's the first way. The second way is something I mentioned on Jose's the other day, and that's again taking an independent group in an airplane and flying around the globe in a 360-degree fashion. Now, they said that had already been done, and something called the last orbit or the one orbit or something like that. And of course, you pull it up, and it's like, oh, NASA's involved, and a couple of the pilots are astronauts. So right there, you take yourself out of the running as being independent, because if our point is NASA's faking everything, then they're going to be faking this too. That's just common sense. So it's got to be independent. You got to have flight earthers involved. Fly around the Earth again. Either you run into the dome and you die, or you go all the way around the Earth and it's a ball.
All right, couple great answers. Let the voting begin. Chat. Go ahead and vote for your champion, and we'll open up the floor to any other thoughts on if you were king for a day. Go for it.
You guys both fell short. I can't believe they voted me out last round. Here's what I do. I send multiple expeditions south. I give every flat earther $1 million to be used for experiments only. I'd start drawing straight lines on walls. I would have every file from every space agency uploaded on the internet immediately. What else?
Now, what I was going to say, Jeremy,
you declare it Flat Earth Day. Say nobody has to go to their job. Nobody has to do anything else. You are now funded by the king. Everybody's job is to look for the shape of the Earth. Go do whatever you want.
What I was going to say is you build the wall. Hey, real quick, you build the wall and check the tangent, or you and also you go to Antarctica with a fleet to map it out, and you find out it's flat, and you just and you silence it to keep your power, so you can stay the king.
Great plan, Brian.
I probably work making beacons and just fill the ocean with these beacon balls, and just go as far as I can south, line the continents with them, Whenever I find a continent, line the continent with it, and
if he has any concerns, we stand behind our work to call.
Seriously, give every flat earther $1 million. We'll be all, we'll be all set to be used for experiments and research only.
Wouldn't
Go
you
up the
fly
dome and out to the.
in a straight line, a 360-degree circle? If we lived on a ball, we should be able to fly. Yeah,
that was my answer.
Yeah, if it's just think if it's that looping map. I mean, if our creator, I wouldn't put it past him. What if it was that rectangular looping map, and then we'd probably think it was a ball anyway, even if we did have all the resources. Got to at least consider that, as unlikely as it is.
All right, get your votes in.
Yeah,
We'll
but
give it
definitely-
another minute or two for votes. Get your votes in.
So yeah, the
Definitely.
one thing I didn't want to say is and no offense to Brian, I'm sure he's got valid points, but is to build something, right? We've built so many things, we've built so many experiments, and is it level? Is it flat? I don't know. Does it curve? I don't know. And none of them have been satisfactory. I don't think on either side. So I don't see the answer as building more stuff.
We need something standing and erect to show, because if we just told people,
we have
but if you have the well and you have the standing proof, then it'd be hard to deny.
Well, we
That's
have
why I
stuff.
said
We
that.
have bridges. We have 50-mile long bridges that are they flat or are they curved?
That's what I was going to say earlier, dude. I was hoping Rakia would be on the panel because I was going to ask him as far as you could see without zooming, because you'd lose your side-to-side view. But can you see like half of Lake Pontchartrain from a distance, from like a few miles out? Can you see it? And what's the furthest away you can see Lake Pontchartrain Bridge? I've been over that bridge probably 100 times. I used to live right there on the West Bank. But yeah, because if we could see it side to side, even if we had to take a couple shots or film a auto level or theodolite showing it from side to side, it's got to have measurable drop from side to side on that bridge if it's what they claim.
Yeah, it's a tough question. I think I'd definitely be down for building something. I get your point, Chris. But
we're making my straight line.
Yeah,
crazy.
We're definitely
We
making
got
a
that
straight
covered,
line.
But we're also every flat earther has $1 million to do other shit too within my plan. So
I think I'm sending up like 100 balloons. Like make all those people you funded, Chris, send up a freaking balloon and then collect all the data.
Bro, I would go seize every record every space agency had.
All right.
Like surprise shit. All right.
Brian's gonna win. He's got me beat by one, I think. So
Well, what if you extended poles with gyroscope through a distance?
Well, how would that work, Data?
So you had all these. Well, how if it's the artificial horizon should be in curve.
Oh, you're cutting out a little. I don't think I caught all that, but
It's just rigidity in space, right? So the poles are stuck into the ground perpendicular. If you're living on a, it would stuck in perpendicular.
yeah. Sorry, you're roboting a little bit. It's cutting off some of your words. Okay, we have a champion, folks. It was a very close match, but the second champion of Friendly Fire Friday is, and it was a close match, one more vote than the other one, Brian Leakey. Brian Leakey, congratulations, Brian Leakey. You are the champion.
Thank you, man.
Wait, was that a
First
crowd
off,
cheering
I'd
or was
like
that
to-
a shot?
Congratulations.
Yeah, to Chris Berry, you're a scholar and a gentleman, and that's fun. I enjoyed it. Win or lose,
I
man,
quit.
that's always fun.
I'm quitting Flat Earth.
How's it feel to be the smartest man on Earth, Brian?
Yeah, right. Yeah, on the
Well,
on Earth. But
if you ask George Natchik, we're all idiots. Hey, I gotta go. Yeah, it was
Why
fun.
we don't
Just
ask
kidding.
him?
Hey, real quick, Brandon. So I kind of caught your video the other night, and I was going to ask this when I first joined, but you started the game. So the thing you did with the triangles and the, I think it was Mr. Sensible.
Oh
balloon,
yeah, his Mage 2
what
footage.
was
Yeah.
I guess what was the overall purpose or point of that you were trying to say? Basically, you were saying that the horizon that you measured based on the triangle was like couple thousand miles, which wouldn't make sense. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, 2,500 kilometers. Between 1,200 and 2,500 kilometers on the globe, it should only be between 600 and 700.
Okay, that's what I thought. But then someone like who was what would be the response? Rumpus would just say, "Oh, it was pointed down."
The
and then
cameras
therefore
are
you can't really
crooked.
tell.
The cameras are crooked, even though the device is built, and they don't have to be that crooked. They're right, but the device was built with parallel walls, and the cameras are flush in each wall, pointing in opposite directions. And it's kind of validated near the ground. The horizon positions are in similar places. But there's a margin of error.
So, Brandon, just to explain what I was talking about, the angular momentum of the gyros are like forcing the line, let's say, because they're independent of Earth shape, right? Because it's its own rigid space, right? It's in its own rigid form because of its rotation, right? So it'd be independent of Earth curve. There's no force acting on it except for its own force it's creating. And so if you were to move away from the point of position and have the gyro set up, then there should be a way to see the poles tilt in relation to the gyro, being that it's independent of the Earth curve, right? You understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
So if you so if that was the case, you should be able to have these poles lined out with gyros on them, independently rotating to the angular, to its own momentum, creating its own horizon, rigidity in space, thereby concluding if the Earth was curving away, the gyro would indicate the dip or drop. But there's no way to force that line because the Earth isn't curving, dipping, dropping away physically. It's just optical. But do you understand what I'm saying? The gyro itself forces the line because it would be independent of Earth curve.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's interesting. We never talked about gyros in regards to our force the line stuff, Jeremy. I wonder if there's a way to do it with those. Huh. Interesting idea. All right, let's wrap it up.
What?
Oh, go ahead.
You're saying make a line of gyros, 100 feet, 10 feet apart from each other, and just keep going?
I'm just
with
saying
them?
that if you have all these gyros, they're going to force the line because they're independent of Earth curve.
Yeah, you make a line of gyros. I like this.
Dude, that's a great idea,
Nice work.
man.
Nice fucking work, bro. That's how we make our straight line. No?
I don't know. Let's think about it.
We'll think about it. We'll brainstorm on it.
Well, the gyro is independent of Earth curve. The gyro doesn't give a fucking thought about Earth curve.
Up. Yeah. Yep.
Is independent, right?
Who just thought of that? Who said that?
Data.
Nice work, bro.
The
Fucking good
gyro
work.
is spinning with the ether while the Earth is motionless and at rest. It's the only explanation that makes sense.
You talking about using mechanical gyros data?
Optical.
How would you keep them straight as you're going away, though?
Well, now
You have
that's
to
a
have them all
whole other conversation, because if we're using mechanical gyros, then we have to account for two factors, which is electromagnetic interference, and because it rotates, it creates its own drift due to the rotation factor of it. So you have to have those two variables discussed in a Socratic understanding, because you're using an instrument nonetheless. The idea for this instrument is to create a line, a forced line. So, we know by the process of motion that we can do this and achieve this. We have instruments that work completely on this function in 3D space, purposely and solely for that reason. So we can force the line, and that's what gyros do.
Well,
Great idea, Brandon. I gotta go, man.
Yeah,
Hey, Lemon, I gotta go real quick, man. I just want to give a quick final thought. I have a globe. Whether we prove flat Earth or not, that's it seems like, man, there's been some experiments that already have, and people would argue that. But yeah, I say we do more because I like watching them squirm their way out of the proofs we come up with. But one last thing, I got a pretty good. I'm gonna take a pretty good shit on the globe Monday or Tuesday with this evidence I have that I'm gonna demonstrate. So y'all take it easy, man.
Looking forward to it, Brian. Thank you very much. Yeah, let's go into final thoughts, and we'll go to Chad next if you want to give your final thoughts, Chad.
Yeah, I was trying to remember the questions because I was putting my own answers in the general. If you want to, can you give me questions 3 through 5? I think I remember, but I don't want to put down the wrong thing.
Yeah, I'll post it. I'll post them out in general here in a minute.
Okay. Anyway, that was great. Good show. Thanks.
Thanks, Chad. Data.
Great show, Brandon. Thanks for having me, bro.
Thanks for coming by, man. Gleam.
Happy New Year, everyone, and thanks for having us. Brandon, bless up Ranty, wherever you're there. I'm sure you're listening in. And take care, everyone listening in. Hit that like button. Remember that?
Thank you, Gleam. Yes, hit the thumbs up. I don't say that enough. Thanks, Gleam. Global virus foe.
Yeah, I like the flat earther versus flat earther type of concept, and it's pretty cool. It helps hone our skills. So yeah, keep up the good work.
Cool. Thanks, man. Jeremy.
Fucking believable that I lost, but congratulations to Leaky. You got lucky. I would have smoked you on that last question. And good show.
You were still the first champion. I wouldn't feel too bad, Jeremy. Jimbo.
Well, Happy New Year, all, and good show, and thanks for running them. And hope there are many more.
My pleasure. Thanks, Jimbo. Lemon. You there, Lemon?
Yeah. With that example of the table and, moving it so fast it breaks, it appears pretty obvious that something must be absorbed for something to move as a unit without breaking apart or being shot through like a bullet. So when we're talking about gravity and all this other stuff, we need to get away from this outdated, as far as I can tell, paradigm of pushing and pulling and get into something a bit more flexible and fluid like fields that, move in and out of the object and determine whether it moves, whether it's, floating, sinking, or rising.
Cool. Thanks, Lemon. Essie.
Yes, sir. Good show, Brandon. Congratulations to the new champ. Coming gunning for you next week. Just kidding. And Happy New Year, everybody. Best wishes to everybody.
Thank you, Essie. Bob Dole.
Yeah, I guess not a whole lot to say, but we were talking earlier, and I was showing how that visual thing happens in Minecraft. I think it would be maybe kind of cool to have a show one of these nights where we discuss basically the tricks that are used to get you to think that what they're saying makes sense or what they're saying is logical. Just like with that eye thing I showed on Minecraft, where the world is made out of cubes and it's flat, and when you get higher, it still looks like it starts to curve. It has nothing to do with our Earth being a ball. That's just the way perspective works. And it'd be cool for us to just just bring up the different tricks, because I've been thinking about other ones that they use to kind of hijack what you perceive around you and then trick you into thinking that what they're saying makes sense or is logical or is legitimate when it's not. So something to consider.
Yeah, no, that sounds like it'd be a good subject, Bob. All right. Thank you. My final thoughts. Thanks to the panel. Thanks for everybody that participated in Friendly Fire Friday. I hope the audience enjoyed it. And we'll have to get some kind of banner ready for Brian for the next time we do it. And very good discussion. So thanks for stopping by. Thanks for your input into the show. And we will see you on Monday. Happy New Year to everyone. And I'll be back. I'll probably record the after show. We can have a discussion if it takes place. And if not, have a good night. Be back. All right. Cool, everybody. Well, the weekend is here. Everybody have a good weekend. Thanks for listening to the show. Thanks for participating in chat. And Happy New Year. Hope 2021 is better for all of you than 2020. And hopefully we can make some real strides into understanding what shape the Earth is in 2021. I thought we made some excellent progress and had some real interesting stuff happen in 2020. So let's try to build on from there. But anyway, have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you on Monday. Bye.